Chapter 1156. I didn't know that Tao Lord Ning had come from afar, so I didn't greet you. It's really rude of me. Tao Lord Ning, please take a seat. Dai Fu saw Ning Cheng and the others come in, so she quickly got off her seat and cupped her fists. How hypocritical. Chu Manha said calmly. If you want to welcome them, you can go out yourself. Don't send a pretty woman. Dai Fu's expression immediately turned awkward. She had only said it casually. Who would take it seriously? She felt that Chu Manha was not simple, and there was something about her that she could not see through. She hurriedly asked, "This is..." "I'm Ning Cheng's friend. You don't have to worry about me." With that, Chu Manha went directly to Ning Cheng's side and sat down first. Dai Fu gave a cold snort in her heart. She had long heard that Ning Cheng liked beautiful girls, but this Chu Manha's appearance was only so. Compared to Yi Shuang, she was even worse. She did not expect that Ning Cheng would also not have any taboos. It seemed that she really overestimated him. Yu Yin served tea to these guests. Dai Fu no longer paid any attention to Chu Manha and spoke to a young girl beside her. Ning Cheng's gaze suddenly fell on the girl named Yu Yin. She was an extremely beautiful girl, and looked even colder than Shi Yishuang. It was just that Shi Yishuang's coldness was a little artificial. This girl's coldness came from her bones. Her crescent moon-shaped eyebrows matched with her flawless oval face, gave her an aura of elegance. Ning Cheng immediately felt a surge of disgust in his heart. This woman called Yu Yin must be Shi Yu Yin, the one that Shui Yueka had mentioned about her younger sister Shui Yuexin. Shui Yueka was a young girl herself, and her younger sister, Shui Yuexin, was probably even younger. Using the life of such a young girl to increase his own aptitude for cultivation. If Ning Cheng thought highly of her, then it would really be a strange thing. Thinking about Yan Ji, who almost had her spirit transferred to the 9 Revolutions sacred Dao Pond, Ning Cheng felt even more disgusted. If not for Qionghua's matter, he would never have wanted to step into this filthy sect. Seeing Ning Cheng's gaze fall on her, Shui Yueyun's eyes also flashed with a trace of disgust. She had naturally heard about Ning Cheng's despicable hobbies in the 9 Revolutions sacred Dao Pond. But since the sect master had spoken, she still came forward and served the divine tea to Ning Cheng and the others. Dai Fu, on seeing Ning Cheng's gaze fall on Shui Yueyun, showed a faint sneer at the corner of her mouth, and asked in a calm tone, "I wonder why Tao Lord Ning came all the way to my 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond." Ning Cheng picked up the cup of spiritual tea in front of him, and took a sip, as he deliberately frowned, indicating that this tea was very ordinary, and then said, "That court pillar must also be aware of my little hobby. I once saw a woman from your noble sect, and have always had some feelings for her in my heart, so this time I came to propose a marriage." When Dai Fu heard this, she almost spat out the mouthful of spirit tea she had just drunk. "You Ning Cheng are also a Dao Lord. Can't you at least have some face? Even if you wanted to propose marriage, you couldn't have just sent a single person. If you came here yourself, the entire Taisu Palace would lose face because of you." Not only Dai Fu, but everyone else in the hall also had looks of disdain in their eyes. Shi Tianhe, who sat next to Dai Fu, suddenly spoke up. "It's naturally a good thing to have a marriage alliance with Dao Lord Ning. I wonder which one of my 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond's disciples did Dao Lord Ning fancy?" Ning Cheng put down the teacup and said with a cautious tone, "I saw the woman in the Grand Essence Mystic Realm, but I don't know her name. At that time, Fairy Yi Shuang was also there, and she even stopped me. Oh, at that time, I appeared as Jihe. I don't think Fairy Yi Shuang has forgotten about it." Shi Tianhe showed a regretful expression and said, "Alas, it's really unfortunate. If I could have a marriage alliance with Dao Lord Ning, it would have been a blessing for my 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond. Unfortunately, that disciple has already gone to the Grand Change Realm on behalf of my 9 revolving sacred Dao Pond to continue cultivating, because of her excellent qualifications." Dai Fu, who sat in the seat of honor, also nodded and spoke up in the same tone. "My 9 Revolutions sacred Dao Pond has many disciples. Dao Lord Ning, why don't you take a look at the other disciples? Maybe Dao Lord Ning would find someone better." Ning Cheng didn't seem to understand the other party's sarcasm about him liking beautiful women. He still asked in a deep voice, "What's the name of the disciple who went to the Grand Change Realm?" Who did she go with? Although Ning Cheng's question sounded a bit aggressive, Shi Tianhe still replied in a warm tone. Her name is Shi Qionghua. She went with her younger sister Shi Qianxia, along with another disciple. Ning Cheng's heart shook violently. Sure enough, it was Qionghua. He didn't have any mood to stay here any longer. He stood up and said, "Many thanks for the warm hospitality, sect master. I'm going back to the Dao court." Before Dai Fu could speak, another Taoist priestess next to her chuckled and said, "Since Dao Lord Ning is here, why are you in such a hurry to leave? My 9-revolving sacred Dao pond is about to hold a bejeweled nectar grand gathering. I originally wanted to invite Dao Lord Ning, but Dao Lord Ning happened to be here. It's just right." Ning Cheng stood up and said, "No need. The Dao court has too many things to take care of. I'll visit again next time." Seeing that Ning Cheng still wanted to leave, Dai Fu said with a calm voice, "Dao Lord Ning, I reported to my 9-revolving sacred Dao pond's Dao ancestor about opening the Grand Essence domain. My 9-revolving sacred Dao pond's Dao ancestor said that it's not impossible to open the Grand Essence domain, but there are still some details that need to be discussed. Since Dao Lord Ning is here, then you don't have to leave in such a hurry. Let's discuss it first." Ning Cheng stopped and said with a cold tone, "Does sect master want to force me to stay?" Dai Fu's tone also turned cold. "I don't dare to force you to stay, but if Dao Lord Ning really doesn't want to cooperate, then I can only ask Dao Lord Ning to stay. Only after Dao Lord Ning agrees would I dare to let Dao Lord Ning leave." Ning Cheng raised his hand, and a tearing law force blasted out. The powerful Dao charm laws slammed into the entrapment array on the opposite side, and easily tore a huge hole in the entrapment array. "If I want to leave, your 9-revolving sacred Dao pond can't stop me." After saying that, Ning Cheng took another step forward. "I know that Dao Lord Ning has a high level of attainment in the Dao of arrays. A mere entrapment array naturally can't stop Dao Lord Ning, but if Dao Lord Ning insists on going his own way, then don't blame my 9-revolving sacred Dao pond for using force." As Dai Fu's words fell, the Dao charm aura around her spread out in waves. The law force instantly suppressed the surrounding space. Ning Cheng and the others felt as if they were trapped in a cage under the suppression. Ning Cheng and Chu Manha didn't move. Yin Ji didn't have the ability to move. Only Wu Lin raised his hand and drew out a blue shadow. The blue shadow looked very evil, and had a trace of sharp saber flare Dao charm as it tore through the space. A vast and sharp nomological saber flare slashed at the solidified space. The space tore apart like a soap bubble. The nomological space suppressed by Dai Fu's Dao charm instantly lit up. There was no longer any barrier between it and the outside world. Dai Fu subconsciously took a step back, as she felt the impact of the powerful nomological power and divine essence. She looked at Wu Lin in shock. She knew that Wu Lin was at the late-stage primordial chaos realm, but she had also just entered the late-stage primordial chaos realm. Given her strength, it was rare for her to meet an opponent in the same realm. Apart from Wang Huazhong, who could firmly suppress her, there were not many primordial chaos sacred emperors who could suppress her. Today, she saw that the primordial chaos sacred emperor next to Ning Cheng not only suppressed her, but also forcefully suppressed her. Dai Fu didn't make a move. With just one move, she knew that she wasn't Wu Lin's opponent. She stared at Wu Lin and asked in a deep voice, "Who are you?" There were only a few famous primordial chaos powerhouses in the Grand Essence realm. Who hadn't Dai Fu seen before? Wu Lin smiled disdainfully. "You're just a pseudo-primordial chaos from a boundary with incomplete laws. Do you think you're qualified to ask who I am? I heard that your 9 Revolutions sacred Dao pond has a pseudo-Dao integration cultivator. Call her out and fight with me. You've got some guts. A primordial chaos dares to come to my 9 Revolutions sacred Dao pond and act so arrogantly." As his voice fell, a huge handprint blasted down. Before this huge handprint could fully spread, Wu Lin's raging blue saber flare started to crack. In the blink of an eye, the saber flare's Dao charm, which had split Wu Lin's nomological power apart, disappeared without a trace. The entire space became suppressed once again. This time, it was a huge handprint that kept pressing down. Wu Lin's face turned a little ugly. He was a top-notch expert, a primordial chaos sacred emperor who hadn't broken his laws yet. Being suppressed so easily by a handprint made him lose a lot of face. With a wave of his hand, the evil shadow heavenly saber appeared in front of him. Without waiting for him to use the heavenly saber spirit technique, Chu Manha made her move. Chu Manha didn't take out any magic treasures either. Instead, she just raised her hand and grabbed at the void. The huge handprint that was pressing down instantly weakened. With a cry of surprise, everyone felt their surroundings become empty. The world instantly cleared up, and everyone in the hall looked up in a daze. At this moment, not to mention the trapping array, even the roof of the hall had disappeared. In other words, Chu Manha's effortless grab not only cracked all the restrictions and defensive arrays in the hall, but the Dao charm power of Shi Yiqing's handprint also made the roof of the hall disappear. If that was all, it wouldn't be too shocking. The most shocking thing was that the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond's sect-protecting Grand Array was directly torn apart by this grab. At this moment, the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond became a heavenly path. Anyone could come in and leave. This wasn't something that could be done with just a high cultivation level. Even a Dao integration Sacred Emperor had to be proficient in the array Dao to a certain degree to create such an effect. A mere ant-like array and a mere pseudo-Dao integration want to keep this old lady here? Old Lady Chu Manha's words didn't match her youthful face. No one found it funny. Instead, everyone in the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond felt a chill down their spine. With this kind of strength, if she wanted to destroy the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond, even a Dao ancestor wouldn't be able to stop her. Shi Yiqing, who stood not far away, looked at the defensive array that Chu Manha grabbed. Chills ran down her spine. She was a Dao integration expert. Because of her, the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond was one of the top sects in the Grand Essence realm. But now she, a Dao integration expert, was like an ant in the eyes of others. Chapter 1157. Ning Cheng's gaze swept over the broken sect-protecting Grand Array, then swept over the sluggish Shi Yiqing before finally landing on Dai Fu. Sect Master, do you really think that I can't destroy your 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond? Daphne shuddered at the words. Even when the Dao ancestor of the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond took action, the woman who called herself Old Mother next to the other party easily tore it apart. She even managed to break the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond's sect-protecting Grand Array. Since Ning Cheng could break through the defensive array so easily, it would simply be a joke for the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond to keep him here. With such a powerful helper, coupled with Ning Cheng's identity, destroying the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond wouldn't be an empty threat. Dao Lord Ning. Dai Fu called out dryly. Even after Ning Cheng took complete control of the Taisu Dao court, Dai Fu was not this afraid of Ning Cheng. This time, she was truly afraid. She suddenly felt some regret, and even hated herself. How could she forget what Ning Cheng had done in the past? He had just advanced to the primordial Dao realm, and dared to kill Man Suotian. He had even led the newly formed Taisu Dao court army to destroy the invading Tai Dao court army. How could such a person come to the 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond without any precautions? She was really out of her mind. Ning Cheng ignored Dai Fu, and spoke to Chu Manha and the others at his side. Senior apprentice Sister Manha, let's go. Seeing that Ning Cheng was about to leave through the broken defensive array, Dai Fu could no longer remain silent. She quickly called out, Dao Lord Ning, my 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond is willing to give up 3 major mineral veins and 2 major spiritual medicine mountains. At the same time, we are willing to withdraw from the 3rd Dao Court's control. The Dao ancestor remained silent after attacking. He did not even say anything when the other party tore apart the sect's guardian. Dai Fu knew that she could no longer rely on the Dao ancestor, who she relied on for her 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond. Ning Cheng chuckled. It's useless for you to tell me these things. You can bring them up yourself during the assembly in the throne room. The 9 Revolutions Sacred Dao Pond was a traitor, and he absolutely couldn't let them control the Dao court army. Now that Daphne had brought it up herself, it was for the best. If Dai Fu didn't want to bring it up, Ning Cheng didn't mind destroying the 9 revolving Sacred Dao Pond. As for sects that wanted to attack Dao monarchs, Even if Ningcheng destroyed them publicly, he wouldn't feel the slightest bit wrong. Dao Lord Ning, my disciple Shi Yueyin is quite pretty. If Dao Lord Ning is willing, you can bring her along to help out a little. Hearing Ningcheng mention this matter in the throne room, Dai Fu breathed a sigh of relief. At the very least, Ningcheng wouldn't destroy the 9 revolving sacred Dao pond. Therefore, she hurriedly proposed to Shi Yueyin to serve Ningcheng. After Ningcheng heard these words, he really stopped. Dai Fu was overjoyed in her heart. She had always caught hold of Ningcheng's hobby. Shi Yueyin was indeed one of the best disciples of the 9 revolutions sacred Dao pond. However, for the future of the sect, Shi Yueyin could also be sacrificed. Besides, if Shi Yueyin followed Ningcheng, she would not lose anything. In fact, she would even gain more. Headmaster, I do have a little hobby, but I'm not that desperate to the point where I can't even pick what I eat. After saying this sentence, Ningcheng was too lazy to stay for even a moment, as he quickly turned around and left. Shi Yueyin, who was standing not far from Dai Fu, suddenly turned pale when she heard this. She had always been confident in her appearance. Even Shi Yishuang was inferior to her. She didn't expect Ningcheng to insult her like this, ridiculing her with the words desperate. A month later, the Grand Essence Dao Court held another Dao Court assembly. Among them, the sect master of the 9 revolving sacred Dao pond, Dai Fu, voluntarily handed over the Dao Court army and resigned from her position. In addition, the 9 revolving sacred Dao pond also gave up 3 major mineral veins and 2 spiritual medicine mountains. When Daphne made the request, everyone was stunned. The 9 revolving sacred Dao pond had a Dao perfection powerhouse. One could say that even Wang Huazhong's status might not be as stable as Dai Fu. Because of this, Fei Feng was taken down for resisting the Dao Lord token, while Dai Fu still lived a good life. Only now did everyone understand that it wasn't that Dai Fu wasn't taken down, but that the time wasn't right. Now that the time was right, she took the initiative to resign. The Grand Essence Dao Court agreed to the 9 revolving sacred Dao pond's request to give up 3 major mineral veins and 2 spiritual medicine mountains. They also agreed to the 9 revolving sacred Dao pond's Dao Court army. The 3rd Dao Court army was directly handed over to Xiao Mozi. Although the Grand Essence Dao Court didn't completely agree with Dai Fu's words, they at least retained the position of the 9 revolving sacred Dao pond's 3rd pillar, which gave the 9 revolving sacred Dao pond some face. After this incident, no one dared to question Ningcheng's status as a Dao Lord. Of the 2 pillars who questioned him, one was imprisoned, while the other was stripped of almost everything. He even had to compensate for the mineral veins and spiritual medicine mountains. Ningcheng's status as a Dao Lord in the Grand Essence realm had already stabilized. Grand Essence Seabed. Ningcheng couldn't restore the teleportation array that he had tried so hard in the past. But this time, it only took less than half an incense stick worth of time to completely restore it. This teleportation array was a teleportation array that connected the Grand Essence realm to the 4 major starry skies. From here to the 4 major starry skies, it was many times easier than the node guarded by Butterfly Mountain. Coming to this place again, Ningcheng not only repaired the teleportation array, but also rearranged the concealment and defensive arrays around the teleportation array. Before he had the ability to tear through the void between the Grand Essence realm and the 4 major starry skies, he had to pass through this place. Not only that, but Ningcheng also planned to completely seal the node guarded by Butterfly Mountain after returning to the 4 major starry skies. Although the spirit chi in the 4 major starry skies was thin, he couldn't let people from the Grand Essence realm casually come to the 4 major starry skies. In any case, the 4 major starry skies were one of his old homes. After rearranging the defensive and concealment arrays, Ningcheng activated the teleportation array. Even with Ningcheng's middle-stage Dao essence cultivation, he felt his spiritual consciousness going out of control under such a long-distance teleportation array. Unlike the first teleportation, Ningcheng didn't faint this time. From the moment the teleportation array activated to the moment his feet touched the ground, he could clearly feel the entire process. The powerful and rapid transformation of space and time caused Ningcheng to feel shocked in his heart. In the past, he thought that he could barely touch a thing or two about this teleportation array. As long as his cultivation reached a certain level, he would at least have a superficial understanding of it. But now he understood that he still couldn't arrange this teleportation array. Not only did he need to understand and control the laws of space to a certain degree, but he also needed to control the laws of time to a certain degree. Ning Cheng had just landed on the teleportation array when he noticed something wrong. This teleportation array was covered with defensive entrapment arrays, and several starry sky cultivators were studying the array formations. This wasn't right at all. This place was under Night Essence Star's Orchid Bane Star's Thorntooth Lake. Sealed by his defensive array, only someone with a stronger Tao of array formations could find it and open it. Otherwise, someone could forcibly attack this place and blast it open. With his status in the 4 major starry skies, if he sealed this place completely, who would have the guts to blast it open? What's more, after he killed 9 Jewels Starry Sky Emperor, Wuxia took the initiative to join him as the new Starry Sky Heavenly Emperor and guard Thorntooth Lake for him. With his understanding of Wuxia would never disobey his orders and blast this place open. Ning Cheng's expression turned a little ugly, but he didn't go out immediately. Instead, he raised his hand and shot out several array flags to seal the teleportation array. Without his array flag token, no one could use this teleportation array. The several array formation masters, who were studying the entrapment arrays outside, suddenly felt the teleportation array they were studying disappear, and only a vague fog appeared in front of them. The few people looked up at the same time in confusion, but before they could figure out what was going on, a young man walked out of the fog. "Who are you? How did you come out of the teleportation array?" No. Did you come from the other end of the teleportation array?" One of the array formation masters stared at Ning Cheng and spoke. Ning Cheng raised his hand, rolled up the 4 array formation masters studying array formations, and threw them out. He then started to arrange the concealed entrapment array again. After completely concealing the teleportation array, Ning Cheng came out, stared at the few people and asked in a cold voice, "Who let you in? Who are you? How dare you treat us like this, you?" One of the array formation masters hadn't even figured out what was going on when Ning Cheng slapped him in the face, sending him flying and crashing into the stone wall. "I'm the one asking you questions now. If you talk any more nonsense, you don't have to continue. Now among the 4 of you, the one who can explain it clearly can leave this place alive." Ning Cheng spoke in a cold tone. This time, without waiting for Ning Cheng to ask again, the other 3 rushed to explain. Ning Cheng pointed to a slightly chubby man in the heaven-seated realm and said, "You. After you finish speaking, I'll ask the others. If there's anything wrong, you can forget about living." After saying that, Ning Cheng raised his hand and slapped a few times. The others didn't resist at all and directly fainted under Ning Cheng's slap. Chapter 1158. The slightly plump array master hurriedly bowed and said, "Senior, please feel free to ask. Junior Jiang Songxin will tell you everything he knows." Ning Cheng nodded. "As far as I know, Orchid Restraining Star's Thorntooth Lake belongs to Night Essence Celestial River. Moreover, the Night Essence Celestial River was located under 9 Jewels Starry Sky. 9 Jewels Starry Sky Heavenly Emperor Wuxia had issued a ban on the Night Essence Celestial River. Why would anyone dare to attack Thorntooth Lake?" Jiang Songxin quickly bowed again on hearing those words, replying to Senior, "The Starry Sky Heavenly Emperor of 9 Jewels Starry Sky has already changed owners. Currently there were 2 Starry Sky Great Emperors. One was Xioshan Great Emperor, and the other was Sky Bamboo Great Emperor. Back then, it was the Sky Bamboo Great Emperor who wanted to make a move on Thorntooth Lake. Senior Wuxia resolutely refused, which led to the war. In the end, after the battle, Senior Wuxia escaped with heavy injuries and disappeared. The Sky Bamboo Heavenly Emperor not only occupied the Thorntooth Lake, but also ruled the entire 9 Jewels Starry Sky. Later, Heavenly Emperor Xioshan came here and joined forces with Heavenly Bamboo Heavenly Emperor. They became husband and wife and jointly ruled 9 Jewels Starry Sky." Jiang Songxin seemed to know that Ning Cheng's tone towards Wuxia was quite good, so when he addressed Wuxia, he also respectfully addressed him as Senior. Ning Cheng snorted. "Don't mention Heavenly Emperor Xioshan and Heavenly Bamboo Heavenly Emperor in front of me. Just tell me the names of these 2 people." Jiang Songxin hurriedly straightened his body and bowed again. Senior, it's not that this junior doesn't want to tell you. This junior is just an errand boy sent by the two heavenly emperors to study the teleportation array. I don't even know the real names of these two great emperors. Please forgive me, senior. Asking the four of you to study this transmission array? Ningqing frowned slightly. Jiang Songxin carefully explained, it's not the four of us. It's just that the four of us have a month of research time. When the time is up, it will be replaced by the other four. All the array masters were called here for only one purpose, and that is to thoroughly study this transmission array and then activate it. Ningqing asked again, where are Heavenly Emperor Xiushan and Sky Bamboo Heavenly Emperor? Also, Thorn Tooth Lake was forcibly occupied, and Luo Xija was seriously injured and left. Did no one come to help? The reason why he asked this question was that both Ning Ruolin and Ji Luofei from Stately River Star knew that Thorn Tooth Lake was the place where he sealed it. Moreover, the two of them knew that Luo Xija was his subordinate. If Luo Xija was attacked, they would definitely send someone to help. Jiang Songxin replied with even more apprehension. I don't know where the two heavenly emperors went, but when the Thorn Tooth Lake was occupied, someone did come to help. It was someone from Stately River Star. Without waiting for Jiang Songxin to finish, Ningqing's hand grabbed Jiang Songxin's neck and lifted him up. You said that people from Jiangzhou Star came to help. What happened next? Jiang Songxin, a heaven-seated powerhouse, felt like an ordinary person being held by the neck by Ningqing. His face turned red, and he couldn't even speak half a word. It wasn't until Ningqing raised his hand and threw him to the ground that he reluctantly spoke up. Although the people from Stately River Star are strong, that Heavenly Emperor Xiushan also sent someone to help. Jiangzhou Star suffered heavy casualties and retreated back to named Descendant Celestial River. Later, Sky Bamboo Heavenly Emperor became very angry and took the initiative to attack named Descendant Celestial River's Jiangzhou Star. It's just that Jiangzhou Star had a very powerful starry sky heavenly emperor called Ning Ruoqing. She alone defeated the attacks of many heavenly emperors and saved Stately River Star. After that, there were many battles, but those people couldn't do anything to that heavenly emperor Ruoqing. Ningqing's eyes flashed with killing intent. Fortunately, there was Ning Ruoqing. Without Ning Ruoqing, he couldn't even imagine what would have happened to Stately River Star. Does this Sky Bamboo Great Emperor like killing? Ningqing's tone carried a hint of coldness. Jiang Songxin quickly replied, I don't know about that. I only know that she hates Stately River Star very much. Every time, she would say that she wanted to turn Stately River Star into dust. But every time, Heavenly Emperor Ruoqing would stop her. Heavenly Emperor Ruoqing's strength is just too strong. You said that many people from Stately River Star died in the battle to help Thorntooth Lake? Ningqing's tone turned flat. Jiang Songxin didn't dare to hide it. Yes, a lot of people died. Only a few powerhouses managed to escape back to Stately River Star. Later, Heavenly Emperor Xiushan and Sky Bamboo Heavenly Emperor besieged Stately River Star and killed many innocent cultivators from Stately River Star. Jiang Songxin understood that Ningqing was on Stately River Star's side, which meant that he was on Stately River Star's side. Then tell me, did you Array Formation Masters also participate in the battle to besiege Stately River Star? Ningqing's tone turned even calmer. His spiritual consciousness had already swept outside Thorntooth Lake. Nearly thousands of cultivators stood guard outside Thorntooth Lake. Apparently, they wanted to protect Thorntooth Lake. Jiang Songxin wasn't a fool. When he heard Ningqing's words, he immediately understood that Ningqing wanted revenge. Therefore, he quickly spoke up with a trembling voice. Yes, but I never participated in the battle to besiege Stately River Star. But the three of them did. After saying that, Jiang Songxin pointed to the three people lying on the ground. Ningqing waved his hand, and a wave of spiritual consciousness blasted into Jiang Songxin's sea of consciousness. He immediately understood that Jiang Songxin was telling the truth. Ningqing raised his hand and threw out 3 fireballs, which directly turned the other 3 Array Formation Masters into nothingness. He then grabbed Jiang Songxin and rushed out of the teleportation array channel under Thorntooth Lake. Sensing the pressure of the laws, Ningqing's heart skipped a beat. Although the channel under Thorntooth Lake looked ordinary, it could actually resist the suppression of the laws of heaven and earth. Ningqing hadn't felt the slightest bit of pressure from the laws of heaven and earth. But now, as soon as he came out, he felt the terrifying suppression of the laws of heaven and earth. Under the operation of the mysterious yellow formless cultivation method, the suppression of heaven and earth instantly assimilated with his cultivation method. Even if there was still the suppressive power of the laws, he still sent it into the mysterious yellow bead. At this moment, he truly stood within the starry sky of a low-level interface, and his middle-stage Tao essence cultivation didn't change at all. The thousands of cultivators guarding outside Thorntooth Lake saw Ningqing appear with Jiang Songxin in his hand, and immediately surrounded him. Ningqing didn't even bother to pay attention to the thousands of cultivators surrounding him. He raised his hand and tore through the void before throwing Jiang Songxin into it. Whether you lived or died depended on whether you had the ability or not. Ningqing had learned this move from Pan Qian. At this time, he understood that Pan Qian at least had the strength of a Tao essence cultivator. Otherwise, he wouldn't have torn through the void here so easily. Before the thousands of cultivators could reach Ningqing, Ningqing raised his hand and shot out several time wheels. A mist of blood swept past, and the Thorntooth Lake, where thousands of cultivators had stood a moment ago, now turned flat. Not a single person could be seen anymore. After an incense stick worth of time, Ningqing left Thorntooth Lake, and once again set up an array formation to protect this place. Even if experts from the Grand Essence realm came here, they wouldn't be able to open Thorntooth Lake and find the location of the teleportation array. From Thorntooth Lake to Stately River Star, Ningqing didn't have much time. As soon as Ningqing arrived outside Stately River Star, he breathed in a sigh of relief. Although the defensive array outside Stately River Star had been repaired a lot, it didn't suffer any major damage. From this, one could tell that Stately River Star was quite stable. Ningqing had arranged Stately River Star's defensive array. Therefore, he didn't use any means and stepped into Stately River Star's defensive array in one step. A sharp shadow shot towards Ningqing. Ningqing raised his hand and grabbed a few blade lights formed from celestial essence. He then looked at Ning Ruoqing with a smile and said, "Ruoqing, your strength has risen again. If not for the laws here being too weak, I'm afraid you could crush all the starry sky heavenly emperors here with just a finger." "Big brother, you're back!" Ning Ruoqing exclaimed and rushed over with a face full of joy. Before Ningqing could speak again, more people rushed out. Ningqing saw Ruolin Luoxian, Li Lingfan, Song Saiha. Seeing so many familiar faces, Ningqing felt a trace of warmth and tranquility in his heart. Patting Ning Ruoqing in his arms, he said, "Ruoqing, you still like wearing red clothes. You didn't disappoint me." Ningqing truly felt grateful to Ning Ruoqing. Ning Ruoqing's thoughts weren't very clear. Ningqing knew that Stately River Star could survive until now because of Ning Ruoqing. Even if he didn't come back, as long as Ning Ruoqing was here, Stately River Star wouldn't have any problems. "Big brother." Ning Ruolin called out with red eyes. She couldn't even move a single step. She was the most worried about her big brother Ningqing. Now that Ningqing came back, she finally felt relieved. Ningqing was just about to speak when he saw Ji Luofei in a light yellow robe rushing over. She rushed to Ning Ruolin's side and stopped in her tracks. Her eyes then looked at Ningqing with endless longing and longing. Ningqing could even feel that her body was trembling slightly. That kind of excitement and surging emotions could no longer be contained for even half a moment. The people who wanted to come and greet them subconsciously stopped and made way for Ningqing and Ji Luofei. Ningqing's heart turned sour. He took a step forward and hugged Ji Luofei and Ning Ruolin in his arms. At this moment, he felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction and serenity. Chapter 1159. You should go and greet the others first. Zhuzhu is dealing with Jiangzhou Star. If it weren't for Senior Tsang and the others, Jiangzhou Star wouldn't have survived. Ji Luofei took the initiative to speak up. Ningqing understood Ji Luofei's meaning and greeted the people from the mysterious yellow sect one by one. After exchanging greetings with everyone, Ningqing suddenly thought of something and asked Ji Luofei, "Luofei, did you say that Zhuzhu is going to deal with Stately River Star?" Which Zhuju is it? Ning Ruolin spoke up with hatred on the side. It's that bitch Zhuju. Big brother saved her back then, but not only did she not repay the kindness, but she even let go of your Jiangzhou star. Zhuju? Ning Cheng's face sank. He did not think that this woman would be so excessive. From the looks of it, he should have killed this person back in the rootless Black City. The first time she came with Yin Xiushan, Sister Qing was still in seclusion. If it weren't for Senior Yi Jin and Senior Chang Manin stopping her, I'm afraid that Sister Qing would have already broken through the stately River Star's defensive array. Ning Ruolin truly hated Zhuju to the bone. Listening to Sister Luofei, when her big brother saved her, she was almost tortured to death. Ruoqing didn't go to Night Essence Celestial River? Ning Cheng's killing intent surged in his heart. Ning Ruolin shook her head. No. When we heard that Senior Luo was besieged in Night Essence Celestial River's Thorntooth Lake, Senior Tsong quickly brought people to help. It's just that we were a little late and Senior Luo escaped with serious injuries. The people on our side not only failed to protect Thorntooth Lake, but also let Yin Xiushan and Zhuju kill many people. They even chased them all the way to Jiangzhou Star. It was also because of Zhuju's parents that we were able to escape safely. Ning Qing nodded. Both Yi Jin and Chang Manin were forthright people and knew how to repay kindness. He didn't expect that a mixed feather chicken would appear in the phoenix nest. If Zhuju really wanted to keep her chastity for the man he had killed, and then take revenge, although Ning Qing would not have shown any mercy, he would not have looked down on her like this. This woman had changed to another man, yet she still shamelessly sought revenge on her benefactor. It was really unforgivable. That Yin Xiushan's name sounds a bit familiar to me. Is he from the Butterfly Mountain? Ning Qing asked again. He already knew that there was a Yin Xiushan from the Butterfly Mountain who was very arrogant. If Butterfly Mountain's 7th Elder Duan Wenbai hadn't come to apologize, he would have killed Yin Xiushan. Ning Ruolin nodded. That's him. Butterfly Mountain supports that Zhuju a lot. Not only did they send people to support Zhuju in taking control of Nine Jewels' starry sky, but they also arranged for Zhuju and Yin Xiushan to become husband and wife. What a pair of dogs! Ning Qing thought to himself. He hadn't even gone to Butterfly Mountain to seal the node leading to the void, yet the people from Butterfly Mountain took the initiative to come here. Sect Master, let's go back to the sect. Song Xiha spoke from the side. He was the deputy sect master of Mysterious Yellow Sect. When Ning Qing wasn't in Stately River Star, he had the final say in Stately River Star and Mysterious Yellow Sect. Ning Qing smiled. Wait a minute, they are coming again. There are even a few old acquaintances. Let's go out and take a look. Seeing Ning Qing take the lead and walk out of Stately River Star, everyone quickly followed. In fact, this wasn't the first time for people from Nine Jewels' starry sky to come to Stately River Star. Therefore no one had anything to fear. They had Stately River Star's star-protecting Grand Array, as well as powerhouses like Ning Ruoqing and Song Xiha. Even if Ning Qing wasn't here, it would be impossible for them to break through Stately River Star. Several huge void battleships landed outside Stately River Star, with Yin Xiushan and Zhuju, whom Ning Qing knew, standing at the forefront of the battleship. Yin Xiushan still had the delicate facial features and skin of a woman. But in contrast, Zhuju, who stood next to him, paled in comparison. Zhuju looked a little more voluptuous than before, and her skin had also turned a little darker. Her eyes also had a hint of coldness that made people feel a little cold. Zhuju's qualifications truly were heaven-defying. Yanji, who followed her and cultivated in the Grand Essence realm, had only reached the Tao sculpting realm. Yet Zhuju had already reached the late-stage Eternal realm. This kind of progress was simply unimaginable. Ji Luofei's cultivation back then was much higher than Zhuju's. But now Ji Luofei had only just stepped into the life and death realm. Ji Luofei had high qualifications and enough resources to reach this level. From this, one could see how powerful Zhuju was. Zhuju's gaze immediately fell on Ning Qing, and a trace of hatred flashed across the corner of her eyes. She then spoke up with an icy tone. Ning Qing, why don't you continue to hide? You used to show me some kindness, and also relied on your higher cultivation to kill my Tao companion in front of me. You even drove me out of my cave and humiliated me in front of countless people. I want to ask you, have you ever thought about this day? Ningqing shook his head speechlessly. The rootless Black City was clearly his territory. He had saved Ijuju and brought her back to cultivate. In just a blink of an eye, the rootless Black City had turned into her, Ijuju's cave. What the hell was going on? He had seen many unreasonable people, but he had never seen Ijuju so shameless and unreasonable. With Ijuju's late-stage eternal cultivation, she still had a long way to go to check Ningqing's strength. Ningqing didn't bother to pay attention to this woman. When this woman started, he would turn everyone in the future into powder. Then he would take a trip to Butterfly Mountain and erase it completely. He had killed the cultivators guarding the Thorntooth Lake, sealed the Thorntooth Lake, and then came here in just a short time. Ningqing estimated that this woman, Ijuju, hadn't received the news yet. Seeing Ningqing not speaking, Ijuju sneered. Today I brought 10 eternal powerhouses and many experts in the Tao of Array. Ningqing, you will see with your own eyes how I erase your Jiangzhou star from the starry sky. That woman is your Tao companion, right? I will let you know the hatred of your Tao companion being killed in front of you. Ningqing's killing intent surged. Ji Luofei had raised Ijuju in the past, yet this woman still treated Ji Luofei so viciously. This woman's life was a waste of the starry sky's resources. Just when Ningqing wanted to raise his hand and pinch Ijuju to death, an airship suddenly rushed over. Ningqing had already seen the people inside the airship, and he subconsciously stopped. Before the airship could reach them, a woman flew out of the airship and screamed, "Juju, you can't do anything to Jiangzhou Star. If you dare to do anything to Jiangzhou Star, your father and I will die here. You are ungrateful. You should know that if it weren't for Ningqing, you would have already died. If it weren't for Ningqing, your father and I would have already died. You can't do this." Behind this woman was a middle-aged man. Ningqing vaguely recognized this person as Ijuju's father, Yijin. But at this time, Yijin's face was filled with vicissitudes of life. His life wasn't as good as before, and his cultivation hovered around the celestial gatherer realm. His cultivation couldn't even compare to his wife, Chang Manin. Chang Manin's cultivation had already reached the celestial bridge realm. Neither Yijin nor Chang Manin saw Ningqing. They just wanted to stop Ijuju. Yijin didn't even want to speak. He felt that he had a clear conscience for his entire life, yet he ended up raising such a daughter. Ijuju's eyes flashed with a complicated look. She still cared about her parents. If it weren't for her parents repeatedly stopping her, she might have already destroyed Jiangzhou Star. At least now, Ningqing could see with his own eyes how she, Ijuju, avenged Brother Hang. Mother, when Ningqing killed Brother Hang, you also saw it from the side. I begged him, but did he show even a little bit of softness? He ignored my wails and sorrow, and still let Brother Hang struggle to his death. Today, I want him to see with his own eyes how I let his Tao companion die in front of him. Shut up. Chang Manin's face turned pale. Ijuju, if you still have a little conscience, you shouldn't have said that. That man deceived you and took advantage of your ignorance to cultivate in the rootless Black City. Moreover, he even plotted against Ningqing's wife, Ji Luofei, and tricked Sister Luofei into the Bridge of Storms. If Ningqing hadn't come back in time, Sister Luofei would have died because of him. Yet you still want to speak up for him? If Ningqing hadn't killed him, would you still be here today? If Ningqing hadn't saved our family wouldn't be here today. Ijuju didn't continue to answer Chang Manin's words. She stepped out of the airship and landed in the void. She then stared at Ningqing. Ningqing, today I will let you see that I, Ijuju, hold a grudge. Ningqing sneered. You Ijuju, hold a grudge and forget kindness. Even if you don't say it, I already know. When Chang Manin and Yijin saw Ningqing, their faces turned even paler. If committing suicide could save them some face, maybe the two of them would have chosen to commit suicide. Brother Ning, I'm sorry, Yijin, a big man, couldn't even say a word. In front of his powerful daughter, Ijuju, he and his wife looked so small. Ningqing waved his hand and said, "It's none of your business. By the way, Yinji wants to thank you." While speaking, Yanji had already come out of the mysterious yellow bead. As soon as she came out, the laws of heaven and earth suppressed her cultivation to the half-step Tao sculpting realm. Yanji didn't care about it. She quickly walked up to Yi Jin and his wife and bowed. Many thanks to Big Brother and Big Sister for helping me in the past. Otherwise, Yanji would have already turned into bones. Yi Jin and his wife felt so ashamed that they couldn't even speak. How could their kindness to Yanji compare to Ning Cheng's kindness to their family? Yin Xiushan, who stood behind Yi Zhuzhu, suddenly exclaimed when he saw Yanji, and his eyes lit up. Zhuzhu, I also like this woman. Yin Xiushan sent a sound transmission to Yi Zhuzhu. However, his sound transmission fell into Ning Cheng's ears without missing a single detail. Ning Cheng sneered in his heart. Yi Zhuzhu didn't even bother to send a sound transmission. If you like her, she's yours. Wait for that Ji Luofei Ning Ruolin, and this Yanji. I don't mind it at all, as long as you still have me. Yin Xiushan's eyes narrowed. Zhuzhu, you are the one I love the most. Even if there are more women, I will only play with them. Only you are the one I love the most in my heart. Even if it takes countless years of my life, I can't let you suffer any grievances. Whatever you say, I will do it. Okay, go catch that Ning Cheng, break his hands and feet, and then arrange an entrapment formation. Let him slowly burn to death in the entrapment formation. Yi Zhuzhu said with a blank expression. So what if Ning Cheng was in the eternal realm? She, Yi Zhuzhu, was almost invincible in the same realm. What's more this time, there weren't just 1 or 2 eternal powerhouses but 10. Jiangzhou Star only had Ning Cheng and Ning Ruoqing. As for that pill emperor Tsang Saiha, she didn't put him in her eyes at all. Chapter 1160. Yin Xiushan knew about Ning Cheng's strength. Even if he was already at the full circle eternal realm, he didn't dare to be careless. With a wave of his hand, 6 late-stage eternal powerhouses stepped forward at the same time. Xiushan, trap him and burn him with fire. Seeing Yin Xiushan take action, Yi Zhuzhu also brought out a weapon. Her eyes flashed with a hint of madness and joy. She had thought of this scene countless times, and today she finally did it. She also knew about Ning Cheng's strength. Therefore, she took action to prevent anyone from stopping Yin Xiushan from attacking Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng shook his head and motioned for Ning Ruoqing and the others not to come up. He didn't even move. Instead, he raised his hand and threw out a few Dao patterns. The 6 eternal powerhouses who rushed up were instantly torn into nothingness by the 6 Dao patterns. Only a few rings fell into Tsang Saiha's hands. Yin Xiushan's footsteps paused, and his pupils instantly widened. Born in Butterfly Mountain, he had seen too many powerhouses and geniuses. But he had never seen anyone as strong as Ning Cheng. With just a few Dao patterns, Ning Cheng easily killed 6 late-stage eternal powerhouses. You're from Butterfly Mountain? Didn't Duan Yi and Duan Wenbai tell you not to mess with my stately river star? Ning Cheng looked at the dumbfounded Yin Xiushan, and spoke with a flat tone. After saying that, he raised his hand, and threw out a few more Law Dao patterns. Several huge void airships parked in the distance exploded under the power of these Dao patterns. Countless rings flew out, as if someone had delivered them to Tsang Saiha's hands. Not a single ring was left out. As for the people on those huge void airships, none of them survived. Senior. Yin Xiushan called out with a dry voice, his voice filled with despair and trembling. Ning Cheng's strength was beyond his imagination. Even if Butterfly Mountain's old ancestor came here, Ning Cheng would have killed him in an instant. He had heard about Ning Cheng's methods. He suddenly hated Yi Zhuzhu for not using sound transmission to talk to him. Instead, she directly asked him to take away Ning Cheng's woman. If Yi Zhuzhu hadn't said that, he might have begged for mercy. Ning Cheng ignored Yin Xiushan and grabbed Yin Xiushan from the void. Then, a fireball started burning around Yin Xiushan's body. Yin Xiushan struggled like a trapped beast. No matter how he struggled, he could not move an inch. Ignoring the struggling Yin Xiushan, Ning Cheng looked up at Yi Zhuzhu and spoke. I accidentally used the same method to kill your lover a moment ago. To be honest, what you asked a moment ago was really correct. I really did not think that such a day would come. I will kill you and your lover in the same way, Originally, You could have found more lovers for me to kill, but unfortunately, you won't have the chance. Ijuju's face turned pale as she looked at Ningcheng. She knew that Ningcheng was strong, but in her opinion, even if Ningcheng was strong, he would only be on the same level as her. But today, she and Yin Xiushan had brought 10 eternal Starry Sky Emperors. But now, several Starry Sky Emperors didn't even have a chance to attack before Ningcheng turned them into ashes. He had used the same method to kill the same people as her. She was not as sad about Yin Xiushan's death as Brother Hang's. However, Yin Xiushan was also a man who gave her joy, and was also killed by Ningcheng. At this moment, Ijuju's reaction was completely different from the last time. The first time her brother Hang died, she only had one word in her heart: hatred. Hatred. She wanted to kill Ningcheng and humiliate him in front of Ningcheng. But this time, apart from fear, she felt nothing but fear. It was as if no matter when she saw Ningcheng was an invincible existence, and she could only wait for her death. Yin Xiushan's wailing had already disappeared, and Ningcheng slowly raised his hand. Ijuju's body trembled, an endless oppression descended. She knew that she didn't even have the qualifications to resist. The difference between her and Ningcheng's cultivation could only be described as heaven and earth. Yijin and Chang Manin suddenly knelt down in front of Ningcheng. The two could only shed tears and couldn't say a word. Ningcheng understood what they meant and shook his head. "I'm sorry, I can't spare her this time. She touched my bottom line, and I will kill anyone who dares to do so. Ningcheng, even if I die, I won't let you go. You killed my Dao companion and drove me away. I can't wait to swallow your flesh and blood." Ijuju suddenly screamed frantically, her face twisting into a hideous expression. Poof! An arrow of blood flew out, and Ijuju's voice stopped abruptly. The weapon in Chang Manin's hand had directly pierced through Ijuju's body. Even Ijuju's essence spirit was forcibly torn apart by Chang Manin. Ningcheng didn't speak, nor did he move. He could have stopped Chang Manin when she started, but he only restrained Ijuju and didn't stop her. Ijuju's madness deserved to die. Chang Manin killed her daughter, but in Ningcheng's view, it was because she wanted to save her daughter. Chang Manin, covered in blood, knelt down next to Ijuju's corpse. Ningcheng clearly saw Chang Manin put away a trace of Ijuju's spiritual soul, but he didn't speak. He didn't guess wrong. Chang Manin had used her own hands to save a trace of her daughter's spiritual soul. Although he knew that this trace of spiritual soul couldn't help Ijuju survive. As Ijuju's parents, Ningcheng understood Chang Manin and Yijin's love for Ijuju. He could easily destroy Ijuju's spiritual soul, but he couldn't face a mother's love for her daughter. For Chang Manin, no matter how bad Ijuju was, she was still her daughter, her flesh and blood. She raised her with one hand. When Yijin saw his wife kill his daughter, Ijuju, his hair instantly turned snow-white. This kind of human tragedy happened to him. Yanji rubbed her eyes and couldn't help but speak up. Xiaocheng they. Ningcheng also knew that Yanji had also seen Chang Manin leave a trace of her daughter's spiritual soul. She remembered Chang Manin's help and couldn't bear to let Ningcheng destroy that trace of spiritual soul. With Chang Manin and Yijin's abilities, even if they managed to save Ijuju, Ijuju would no longer have such heaven-defying qualifications. Maybe it would be better for the Yijin couple. Ningcheng sighed. "Elder sister Chang, you should leave with brother Yi. There are many ungrateful people, but she's not one of them. You can be ungrateful, but don't bite the hand that feeds you." Since Ijuju could cultivate so quickly, she must have some kind of treasure on her. However, Ningcheng didn't plan to search for it. Even if Ijuju had some kind of treasure, it would have fallen into her parents' hands. Both Chang Manin and Yijin, who looked pale, knew that they couldn't hide their little tricks from Ningcheng. Ningcheng didn't destroy that trace of spiritual soul, giving their daughter a chance to reincarnate. After the two of them bowed to Ningcheng, they picked up Ijuju's corpse and quickly retreated, disappearing into the vast void. Everyone remained silent. Ijuju, who had always wanted to destroy Jiangzhou Star and turn it into dust, died. However, no one felt the joy of revenge in their hearts. Everyone felt their hearts clench at the love Chang Manin and her husband had for their daughter. No matter how bad she was still their daughter. Jiangzhou Star celebrated. The threat from 9 Jewels Starry Sky had been removed, and more importantly, mysterious Yellow Sect Master Ning Cheng had returned. Compared to the enthusiasm of Jiangzhou Star, Butterfly Mountain seemed a bit dull. Among the 4 Grand Starry Skies, if there was a place that went beyond the 4 Grand Starry Skies, then it would definitely be Butterfly Mountain. In the past, even the 4 Grand Starry Skies Starry Sky Heavenly Emperors wouldn't be rude to Butterfly Mountain. No matter where Butterfly Mountain's people went, they would always be treated with courtesy. Butterfly Mountain's old ancestor and the 7 Grand Elders gathered in the assembly hall. If Ningqing came here, he would at least know Duan Wenbai. Duan Wenbai was the one who saved Yin Xiushan and Duan Qian. Old ancestor, Izhuju is just. Among the 7 Grand Elders of Butterfly Mountain, only Duan Wenbai was familiar with Ningcheng. But because of his familiarity with Ningcheng, he had always been wary of Ningcheng. The old man sitting at the head waved his hand to stop Duan Wenbai's words. Wenbai, do you know who has the fastest cultivation speed in the history of the 4 Grand Starry Skies? Naturally, it's Qisong Heavenly Emperor. Duan Wenbai opened his mouth and spoke, but he only spoke half a sentence before stopping. Old ancestor, you mean Izhuju has the fastest cultivation speed? The old man nodded. Yes, Izhuju has the fastest cultivation speed. How many years did it take for her to advance from the domain realm to the late-stage eternal realm? You can say that since I started cultivating, I've never seen anyone with a faster cultivation speed than her. She's just a rogue cultivator with no cultivation resources, no support from a sect, and not even an alchemy master. How could she cultivate so fast? Everyone quickly understood, and the old man spoke up in a low voice, that Izhuju only has an eternal cultivation, and her strength shouldn't be much weaker than me. If we forced her, I'm afraid it would bring trouble to Butterfly Mountain. Xiushan has done a good job this time. It's a pleasant surprise to find Izhuju's favor. Duan Wenbai still felt a bit of a knot in his heart, and couldn't help but speak up. Old ancestor, that Ningqing is also a tricky character. Back then, the 9th prince was so powerful, but he was still killed by him. There's also traceless immortal pawns Wu Yuankong, who can come and go as he pleases in the devil race. If we openly help Izhuju, who has a grudge against Ningcheng, to deal with Ningcheng's stately river Star and Night Essence Celestial River, I'm afraid we'll end up becoming enemies with Ningcheng in the future. An elder standing across from Duan Wenbai snorted. No matter how strong Ningcheng is, he's just one person. My Butterfly Mountain isn't the Starry Sky Heavenly Emperor of the 4 Grand Starry Skies. Even Chuan Xinlo has to behave himself and show respect when he comes to my Butterfly Mountain. What's more, the Night Essence Celestial River's teleportation array most likely leads to the Grand Essence Realm. If one day, we can really break through that teleportation array. The elder didn't continue, but everyone understood what he meant. The old man sitting at the head also nodded. Sun is right. No matter how strong Ningqing is, he's just one person. But I don't know where that Ning Ruoqing came from. I've seen her battle videos and found them quite strange. The old man had just spoken when a red light flew in. A man sitting next to the old man raised his hand and grabbed the red light. Then, with a look of disbelief, he spoke up. Someone killed all the people we left in Thorntooth Lake and sealed it. The man's words had just ended when another voice arrived. Reporting to Elder Taoist Sun, my Butterfly Mountain's new elder, Yin Xiushan's soul card suddenly shattered. What? This time, almost everyone suddenly stood up. After Yin Xiushan followed Izhuju, his strength had improved by leaps and bounds. Below the 7 Grand Elders, he could even be considered the strongest expert. Coupled with Yin Xiushan coming out of Butterfly Mountain, who would dare to do anything to him? Chapter 1161. Duan Wenbai spoke up with an ugly expression. Because Stately River Star has a woman called Ning Ruoqing. She's extremely powerful, and Izhuju's 9 Jewels Starry Sky couldn't do anything to Stately River Star. This time, Xiushan took away 10 Eternal Starry Sky Emperors from Butterfly Mountain with the purpose of helping Izhuju take revenge. Duan Yi, who sat in the seat of honor, also sat down. His face regained its calmness and he spoke up in a low voice. In other words, Xiushan was killed in Stately River Star? Duan Wenbai nodded and spoke up with some worry. If I'm not wrong, Xiushan was killed in Stately River Star. With Stately River Star's strength, it might be able to stop Xiushan and others. But to kill Xiushan, I'm afraid only. Duan Wenbai didn't finish. Instead, a long-haired man next to him added, Wenbai, do you mean that Ningqing is back? Duani suddenly stood up again. Gather all the people from my Butterfly Mountain, and head to the node immediately. Leave this place if you can. Ancestor, why is this so? A middle-aged woman asked in confusion. Butterfly Mountain's ancestor and 7 grand elders were present, as well as many eternal starry sky emperors. No matter how strong Ningqing was, he couldn't do anything to Butterfly Mountain. Duani spoke up with a gloomy expression. Since Ningqing dared to kill Xiushan, it means that he doesn't fear my Butterfly Mountain. If I'm not wrong, he most likely went to the Grand Essence Realm, and even came back. The Grand Essence Realm is much higher than this place. Even if Ningqing's strength is at the bottom of the Grand Essence Realm, our Butterfly Mountain can't do anything to him. Just think about that 9th prince from back then. 9th prince's strength is something that even I can't say I could beat. As long as there's life, there's still revenge. I'm afraid you can't go. I just sealed the node leading to the void from the 4 grand starry skies. Ordinary people can't open it. As the voice fell, a young figure appeared in Butterfly Mountain's meeting hall. Ningqing? Duan Wenbai was the first to call out. He knew Ningqing too well. Ningqing hadn't changed much from when he first saw him. Duani immediately smiled as he cupped his fists and said, I did not expect Sect Master Ning to visit my Butterfly Mountain. Please forgive me for not going out to welcome you. Duani had changed very quickly, and the 2 Grand Supreme Elders next to him did not have as much patience as him. The moment they saw Ningqing, they immediately understood that Ningqing was not a scary person. At least from Ningqing, they did not feel any threat, nor did they feel any kind of strength. These 2 Grand Elders were Butterfly Mountain's half-step Dao sculpting experts. After seeing Ningqing with their own eyes, why would they care about him? The 2 of them acted at the same time, almost as if they had agreed on it. Duani was right next to them. Naturally, he had sensed their movements immediately. His eyebrows twitched slightly, and he forcefully suppressed the thought of stopping them. He was even prepared to help them at any time. Ningqing slowly raised his hand and flicked out 2 time wheels with his finger. These 2 time wheels moved slowly, without even the slightest sharp aura. Yet they shot towards the 2 Grand Elders. Duan Yi's expression changed. He knew that it was over. These 2 time wheels were so slow that even his spiritual consciousness couldn't keep up. Puff puff. For spurts of blood sprayed out. It wasn't the 2 Grand Elders who fell, but 4 of them. The 4 Grand Elders standing on both sides of Duan Yi immediately fell to the ground. Their essence spirits and life force completely disappeared the moment the 4 of them fell to the ground. Duan Yi and the remaining 3 people stared at the 4 Grand Elders who fell in a blink of an eye, not knowing what to say. Of the 4 Grand Elders, 2 of them had just brought out their weapons. As for the other 2, Ningqing's time wheels had already killed the first 2. Therefore, they decided to take advantage of the situation and kill them. Sect Master Ning, why did you? Duan Yi's voice trembled in defeat. Ningqing showed a slight smile. When I wasn't at home, the people from Butterfly Mountain kept trying to destroy Jiangzhou Star. I killed the people from Butterfly Mountain, and when I came here to ask why, I found that someone wanted to kill me as soon as I came in. Tell me, why did I do this? While speaking, Ningqing raised his hand again, and Sun Yi, who stood next to Duan Yi, died. Duan Yi knew that he couldn't escape today. Butterfly Mountain had provoked Ningqing, but Ningqing's strength was far beyond what Butterfly Mountain could contend with. Seeing Ningqing's murderous intent, he quickly spoke up. Sect Master Ning, my Butterfly Mountain has a treasure. Ningqing spoke up in a calm voice. Do you want to talk about the treasure that Duan Gantai stole from your Butterfly Mountain? Unfortunately, Duan Gantai isn't here. Duan Yi suddenly became speechless. He no longer cared about the difference in strength between him and Ningqing. He raised his hands and shot out a dense ray of light. Once the strength gap reached a certain level, any resistance would be futile. A day later, Ningcheng returned to Jiangzhou Star. At this time, the news of Ningcheng destroying Butterfly Mountain spread throughout the starry sky. When Ningcheng left, Jiangzhou Star's reputation had already reached the level of the 4 grand starry skies. It was also because Butterfly Mountain dared to destroy Jiangzhou Star's defensive array. Apart from Butterfly Mountain, no one dared to attack Jiangzhou Star. But now Butterfly Mountain, who dared to attack Jiangzhou Star, had turned into dust. Butterfly Mountain had dominated the 4 grand starry skies for countless years, and every time it appeared, something big would happen. Yet, Ningcheng destroyed such a place with just a raise of his hand. Who would dare to attack Jiangzhou Star? Only a blind person would dare to do so. Jiangzhou Star's mysterious Yellow Sect's main hall. Almost all the important figures of Jiangzhou Star gathered here. Even 9 Gamma Starry Sky Emperor Luoxia, who had been hunted down, had returned. Because Ningcheng was about to leave Jiangzhou Star. The Grand Change Realm could send the Dao Court army to besiege the Grand Essence Realm at any time. If not for worrying about his sister and Luofei, Ningcheng wouldn't have returned to Jiangzhou Star at this time. Now that Jiangzhou Star had stabilized, Ningcheng naturally wanted to leave this place and return to the Grand Essence Realm. Jiangzhou Star had too many people, so Ningcheng couldn't take them all away. Moreover, Ningcheng's mysterious yellow bead wasn't something anyone could expose. In the end, Deputy Sect Master Song Saiha set down a rule that only Starry Sky Emperors with full circle Eternal Realm strength were eligible to go to the Grand Essence Realm. Even Song Saiha couldn't reach the full circle Eternal Realm. Naturally, no one objected to this condition. As for Ji Luofei, Ning Ruolin, and Ning Ruoqing, they were Ningcheng's wife and sister. Therefore, it was only natural for them to go with Ningcheng. In fact, there weren't many people who really wanted to leave Jiangzhou Star. No one knew what kind of place the Grand Essence Realm was. Moreover, they had stayed in Jiangzhou Star for a long time. This place had plenty of medicinal pills, and the Starry Sky Spirit Chi was extremely rich. Moreover, there was no bullying or humiliation in this place. Every business was fair and just. As long as you had the ability, you could get cultivation resources. One could say that among the 4 grand starry skies, how many places were more suitable for cultivation than Jiangzhou Star? Ningcheng didn't feel that Song Saiha's words were wrong. It's just that his strength was still a little low. If his strength was a little higher, he could determine whether the Grand Essence Realm and the 4 grand starry skies were separated by a positional plane. In case one day he repaired the Grand Essence Realm's heaven and earth laws, would the Starry Sky Emperors of the 4 grand starry skies have a chance to break through the void and ascend to the Grand Essence Realm? Feng Xian hadn't yet returned to the Boundless Realm Palace when he received another message from Ao Beijiang. Ao Beijiang asked him to go to the Grand Change Realm, and said that the Grand Change Realm Lord was ready to take action. Out of the 5 Dao Courts of the Grand Change Realm, 4 Dao Courts would send out tens of millions of troops. If Ao Beijiang hadn't said that the Realm Lord Yin Xingwen would take action, and the 4 Dao Courts of the Grand Change Realm would send out their troops, he really didn't want to go back. Even if Ningcheng was only in the Dao Primordial Realm, he still felt a little afraid of Ningcheng. Now that the Grand Change Realm sent out tens of millions of troops, more than 5 Dao Perfection powerhouses, and even the Realm Lord came forward, Feng Xian finally couldn't hold back his anger and returned to the Grand Change Realm. Ningcheng was indeed strong, but no matter how strong he was, the Grand Essence Realm only had 2 Dao Perfection experts. No matter how strong he was, everyone would know about his hidden killing array. He didn't believe that he couldn't kill Ningcheng with the help of the Grand Change Realm Lord. The first time Ao Beijiang encouraged the Luying Dao Court's army to invade the Grand Essence Realm, it was just a small rumor. But now the Grand Change Realm's Realm Lord personally took action, and the 4 Dao Courts sent out tens of millions of troops, including at least 5 Dao Perfection powerhouses, and even more Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors, to besiege the Grand Essence Realm. This news had spread throughout the void, and even the rest of the 5 Grand Realms had received the news. The 5 Grand Realms were different from the 4 major starry skies. There were many experts here, and even if they were separated by planes, they couldn't stop the news from spreading. Before the 5 Realms Pill competition, not many people knew who Ningcheng was. After the 5 Realms Pill competition, Countless people knew about Ningcheng. When Lu Dongsa from the Grand Beginning Realm heard the news, he wanted to help immediately. However, he quickly thought it through. The Grand Beginning Realm absolutely couldn't participate in this kind of thing. Even if it wanted to participate, it couldn't help the Grand Essence Realm. It could only help the Grand Change Realm. Otherwise, the Grand Essence Realm would become the next Grand Beginning Realm. Similarly, the Great Ultimate Realm thought the same. No one in the Great Ultimate Realm had a particularly good relationship with Ningcheng. At the same time, the Great Ultimate Realm didn't help the Grand Change Realm either. After all, the Great Ultimate Realm was facing a similar situation as the Grand Essence Realm. If they didn't help the Grand Essence Realm, they naturally couldn't help the Grand Change Realm either. Only the Great Beginning Realm's atmosphere was different. The entire Great Beginning Realm seemed extremely dignified. The Great Beginning Realm's atmosphere was different not because it learned that the Grand Change Realm had mobilized the Dao Court's army to deal with the Grand Essence Realm. In fact, the Great Beginning Realm didn't take this matter to heart. The Great Beginning Realm was so dignified because it knew that there was another realm with complete laws called the Sacred Dao World. The Sacred Dao World's Heaven-Earth law was complete and not any weaker than the Grand Change Realms. Originally, this wasn't a big deal. In the vast universe, the Grand Change Realm wasn't the only realm with complete laws. An additional Sacred Dao World wouldn't affect anything. The Great Beginning Realm's atmosphere was so dignified because after investigation, they found out that the Sacred Dao World was actually a piece of land that had split off from the Great Beginning Realm. It occupied almost half of the Great Beginning Realm's size. During the Creation War, only the Great Beginning Realm had been blasted apart. Logically speaking, if the Great Beginning Realm wanted to repair the Heaven-Earth law, it had to first fuse the broken plates of the Great Beginning Realm. As for the realm that had split off from the Great Beginning Realm, it was impossible to repair it. However, someone had the ability to repair the Sacred Dao World that had split from the Great Beginning Realm. Furthermore, it had become a complete, independent realm. A piece of land that had split off from the Great Beginning Realm had been successfully repaired and become a high-level land of law in another plane. How could the Great Beginning Realm accept this? Chapter 1162. Like the Great Simplicity Realm, the Great Beginning Realm only had one Dao Court. Apart from the Dao Court, there was no Realm Lord in the Great Beginning Realm. It was far from the Great Change Realm, which had 5 Dao Courts, several major sects, and even one Realm Lord. On the contrary, because of the Dao Court, the Great Beginning Realm was more stable than the other realms even though it was broken, and its laws were incomplete. It even had a realm protection array. The Dao Lord of the Great Beginning Dao Court was Li Jiancheng. He looked very young, not much older than Wuxia, the Great Change Realm's Elixir Association Master. His cultivation level was also at the half-step Dao Integration Realm. Many people felt that if the laws of the Great Beginning Realm were not complete, Li Jiancheng would have already succeeded in Dao integration. Li Jiancheng could become a Dao Lord of a realm, not only because of his strength and ruthlessness, but also because he was extremely determined. Anything that others could not accomplish was not a problem for Li Jiancheng. As long as Li Jiancheng wanted to do it, he could do it. Although Li Jiancheng was only at the half-step Dao integration realm, the 2 Dao Court Guardians of the Great Beginning Realm were at the Dao Integration Realm. One of them was the famous Dao Integration expert in the Great Beginning Realm, Timothy, and the other was Li Jiancheng's martial uncle, Xiao Qiandong. Compared to Ningcheng, the Dao Lord of the Great Simplicity Realm, who had to use his own means to stabilize his position, Li Jiancheng was the real number 1 person in the Great Beginning Realm. Li Jiancheng was not only determined, but also good at listening to other people's opinions. As long as he had not decided on something, anyone could make suggestions. At the moment, in the Great Beginning Realm, Li Jiancheng frowned slightly. He had just heard the news that the Great Change Realm was going to use the Dao Court army against Great Simplicity. What really shocked him was the news about the Sacred Dao World. The Great Beginning Realm was the most divided. As a Dao Court, he naturally knew about it. He was shocked because the realm that had split from the Great Beginning Realm had been repaired by someone, and had become a high-level realm of another plane. In the Dao Court, Li Jiancheng did not speak. The others remained silent. No one dared to interrupt Li Jianqing's contemplation. Yuanhua, tell me everything you know. Li Jianqing finally broke the silence. Yes, Tao Lord. I have long heard of the sacred Tao world. When I was in heavens beyond, I only knew that the sacred Tao world was a top-notch realm that was not inferior to the Great Change realm. Back then, I thought about whether I should go to the sacred Tao world to gain insight into the Tao integration realm. And at this time, I heard something big. The person who spoke was a handsome middle-aged man called Chu Yuanhua who had a mid-stage primordial chaos cultivation level. That was not important. What was important was his position in the Taichu Dao court. Chu Yuanhua was not just a primordial chaos sacred emperor in the Taichu Dao court. He was also one of the 10 court pillars of the Taichu Dao court, ranking 5th. When Chu Yuanhua said that he had heard of a major event, everyone held their breath and listened attentively. Chu Yuanhua paused slightly and took a deep breath. The Grand Primordium Divine Inscription appeared in the sacred Tao world, and someone learned it. Li Jianqing, who had been frowning, suddenly stood up and repeated solemnly, Yuanhua, you just said that the great primordial God pattern appeared in the sacred Tao world? The number 1 divine ability of the great beginning realm that has long been lost, the great beginning God pattern? Not only Li Jianqing, but everyone else was also staring at Chu Yuanhua. This news was simply too shocking. Ever since the creation war, the 5 major divine abilities of the 5 great realms had almost all been lost. This included the Tai Formless Divine Light, the Grand Beginning Divine Light, the Grand Elemental Divine Thunder, and the Taiji Yin Yang. Now there was suddenly news that the great primordial God pattern had appeared in a realm that had split off from the great beginning realm. Nobody could calm down. Chu Yuanhua said solemnly, I didn't hear wrong. It was indeed the great primordial God pattern. Only the people of the great beginning realm knew that the great primordial God pattern would only be passed down in the great beginning realm. Therefore, I was sure that the sacred Tao world was a part of the great beginning realm. Later, I asked some people who knew about the sacred Tao world in the beyond of heaven and earth, and the information I obtained basically matched my speculation. In that case, the sacred Tao world was only a part of the great beginning realm. Why was it restored? This is absolutely impossible, right? One of the court pillars asked doubtfully. Chu Yuanhua also said with a sigh, actually, I didn't understand at first. Later, I asked around and after my own speculation, I got a rough idea. The sacred Tao world wasn't completely a part of the great beginning realm. It was originally a high-level realm. After the great beginning realm went through the creation war, a part of it entered the void and collided with the sacred Tao world. Eventually it actually fused. This part was called the God Necropolis domain, in the Divine Necropolis domain. I heard that the great primordial God pattern was found in the God Necropolis domain. The God Necropolis domain was split off from the great beginning realm, so there were naturally large amounts of treasures inside. Plus, the sacred Tao world was already in chaos after being hit by the God Necropolis domain. These treasures became the cause of the war. Countless experts of the sacred Tao world started a war for the treasures. Eventually, the entire sacred Tao world was in chaos. Of course, this is just my guess. Li Jianqing asked heavily. In that case, who else has the ability to restore the sacred Tao world? Chu Yuanhua bowed and answered, Tao Lord, I'm also confused about this. Later, I heard some news that someone in the sacred Tao world got the Chaos Tree and used it to restore the realm. Chaos Tree? Li Jianqing asked in shock. He wasn't this shocked even when he first heard about the great beginning God rune. Not only Li Jianqing, the others also didn't believe it. Who would be stupid enough to take out the Chaos Tree to repair a world? Chu Yuanhua nodded. That's right, the news I got was indeed about the Chaos Tree. Do you know who used the Chaos Tree to restore the sacred Tao world? Also, have you been to the sacred Tao world? Li Jianqing asked. Chu Yuanhua said shamefully. I specially went to the sacred Tao world. Unfortunately, the sacred Tao world's realm protecting array was many times more brilliant than the great beginning realms. I'm ashamed and couldn't enter the sacred Tao world. As for who restored the sacred Tao world, I only heard that this person's magic artifact was just a purple long saber. Very few people could make him use his saber. I think that since this person is an expert who restored the sacred Tao world, he must live in the sacred Tao world. He might be a Tao lord of the sacred Tao world. Li Jianqing took a deep breath and said word by word. The sacred Tao world is a part of the great beginning realm. There shouldn't be any problem. Court pillars, tell me how the great beginning realm should deal with this matter. After saying that, Li Jianqing sent out 2 light figures. This is no small matter. I've invited the 2 great courts of the great beginning realm to discuss it. A blue-eyed golden-haired beautiful woman with a voluptuous and slender figure stood up, bowed, and said, Tao Lord, Nu Allah has something to say. Li Jianqing said warmly, Court pillar Nu Allah, you can say what you want to say. This beautiful woman was called Nu Allah. Although she was a woman and looked extremely beautiful, she was the first court pillar of the great beginning Tao court. After bowing again, Nu Allah said, If the laws of the sacred Tao world are still broken, the great beginning realm can use a supreme divine power to slowly move the sacred Tao world to the edge of the great beginning realm, and then merge with it. Now that the sacred Tao world has been restored by the chaos tree, the laws must be complete. It would be extremely difficult to move it. I have 2 suggestions. The first is to extract the chaotic life force from the sacred Tao world, and move it. Nu Allah's words made the Tao court fall silent. This suggestion was vicious. Extracting the chaotic life force of the sacred Tao world was equivalent to extracting the chaos tree that had merged with the sacred Tao world. The primal chaos life force that was extracted was a top-grade treasure to any expert. However, this way, the sacred Tao world would be completely destroyed. Although this suggestion was vicious, the eyes of the people in the Tao court lit up. Whether it was vicious or not had no effect on the great beginning realm, but it would affect the sacred Tao world. On the contrary, as long as the chaotic life force of the sacred Tao world was extracted, the great beginning realm would benefit greatly. Anyone here would benefit immensely. Li Jianqing nodded. Tell me about the second suggestion. Nu Allah continued. The second suggestion is to kill the person who restored the sacred Tao world, or make him submit to the great beginning Tao court. At the same time, the sacred Tao world will be a boundary of the great beginning realm. Anyone in the great beginning realm can go to the sacred Tao world to comprehend the Tao runes and advance to a higher level. Although Nu Allah had only said to kill the person who restored the sacred Tao world, the people in the Tao court understood what he meant. He wanted to control the sacred Tao world and kill anyone who resisted. As for the rest of the people in the sacred Tao world, they naturally served the cultivators of the great beginning realm. Nu Allah's suggestion made Li Jianqing's eyes light up. Extracting the chaotic life force of the sacred Tao world was good, but this was equivalent to killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. If he used the Tao rune comprehension of the perfect law of the sacred Tao world, even a Tao lord like him could probably succeed in Tao integration. If this went on one day, the great beginning realm would not be weaker than the great change realm. Li Jianqing nodded and said subconsciously, In that case, we need to build a teleportation array between the great beginning realm and the sacred Tao world. However, there are too few array masters who can build such a teleportation array. Tao Lord, the Great Change Realm is about to engulf the Great Simplicity Realm. Once the Great Change Realm engulfs the Great Change Realm, even if the Great Beginning Realm obtains the sacred Tao world, I'm afraid it will be difficult for us to catch up to the Great Change Realm, another person said. Li Jianqing sighed and waved his hand. There is no way to stop the Great Change Realm from engulfing the Great Simplicity Realm. The only thing we can do is to increase our strength as much as possible. Nu Allah's second suggestion is very good. It is easy to make the sacred Tao world surrender, but how do we set up a teleportation array from the sacred Tao world to the Great Beginning Realm? This is a teleportation array that is separated by several planes. Nu Allah smiled slightly and stood up again. Tao Lord, actually there is a top-notch array master in the 5 great realms. Who? Li Jianqing asked subconsciously. Nu Allah said calmly, It's Ning Cheng in the Great Simplicity Realm. I heard that Ao Beijiang and Feng Xian joined forces with millions of soldiers from the Luiying Tao court to besiege the Great Simplicity Realm. However, they were killed by Ning Cheng's confinement killing array. Moreover, I also heard that the Great Simplicity Realm's boundary protection grand array, is not weaker than the Great Change Realm's Boundary Protection Grand Array. Once such a peak array Dao expert joins the Great Beginning Realm, it is not impossible for him to set up a planar teleportation array. Chapter 1163. Li Jianqing's eyes lit up. As the number one pillar of the Taichu Dao court, Nuala truly lived up to her name. She definitely made the most contributions to the Taichu Taoist court. Without Nuala, his position in the Taichu Taoist court would not have been as stable as it was now. Inform the Elixir Association's guild master, Peng Ang, to come over. We will immediately discuss the matter of dispatching the Dao court's army to help the Great Change Realm. Oh right. Also inform Pil Saint Fengshe Hao and Pil Saint Qin Zishu. Li Jianqing immediately made a decision. He was not worried about conquering the divine Dao world at all. There were 5 Dao integration divine emperors in the Great Beginning Realm. It would be strange if they could not conquer the divine Dao world, whose laws had been perfected not long ago. Now he was worried about how to set up a teleportation array in the sacred Dao world, to the Great Beginning Realm. This was not something that could be done just by thinking about it. It required a top-notch array Dao expert. Sending troops to help the Great Change Realm was to take Ningqing away. If he knew that the Grand Change Realm had sent out their army to take away Ningqing, he probably wouldn't have thought so. Dao Lord, we can't underestimate the sacred Dao world. Since he can repair the sacred Dao world, he should be a Dao integration sacred emperor. A brown-faced old man stood up. He understood what Li Jianqing meant. He did not take the sacred Dao world seriously, and focused on preparing for what would happen after he seized the sacred Dao world. This old man was called Yan Jinghuan. He was at the late-stage primordial chaos realm, and was the second court pillar of the Taichu Dao court. He was also the steadiest person in the entire Taichu Dao court. He would always make up for mistakes in many decisions. Li Jianqing smiled faintly. I would be surprised if he wasn't a Dao integration cultivator. It would mean that I overestimated him. But Jinghuan, if I give you the chaos tree, can you repair my Great Beginning Realm? Yan Jinghuan hesitated slightly and said, Dao Lord, if I had the chaos tree, I might not be able to completely repair the Great Beginning Realm, but I would definitely be able to make it 10 times more perfect than it is now. Li Jianqing nodded. That's right. That person can repair the Great Beginning Realm not because he's powerful, but because he has the Chaos Tree. Yuan Hua had never been to the sacred Dao world, and did not know if it had been completely restored. If it wasn't completely restored, I believe there would be fewer experts in the sacred Dao world. As for Dao integration, how many Dao integration cultivators were there in the Great Change Realm, let alone the sacred Dao world that was once broken and restored not long ago? No matter how strong the sacred Dao world is, can it be stronger than the Great Change Realm? At this point, Li Jianqing's expression changed. If he completely repaired the sacred Dao world, it meant that not only did he obtain the chaotic tree, but he also obtained other treasures. Therefore, the Great Beginning Realm must seize the sacred Dao world as our own. Otherwise, if the Great Change Realm finds out, it will be dangerous. The Great Beginning Realm can gather at least 5 Dao integration stage holy emperors. No matter how powerful that person is, he's only one person. As for the protective array, no matter how strong it was, it would still be broken. If you don't believe me, just take a look at the Grand Essence Realm's defensive array. Yin Xingwen personally took action, and this defensive array is probably the shortest-lived defensive array. When Yan Jinghuan heard this, he also felt that he was overthinking. Apart from the Great Change Realm, the Great Beginning Realm was probably the strongest of the 5 great realms. In any case, the Sacred Dao Realm could not be stronger than the Great Change Realm. The other court masters obviously had the same thoughts as Li Jianqing. They did not think that the Sacred Dao world was stronger than the Great Beginning Realm. The Dao Lord is right. No matter how strong the barrier is, it will still be broken. Only when one's strength is strong will it be the real capital. A deep voice was heard as several people landed in the hall of the Dao court. Li Jianqing hurriedly stood up. Jianqing greets the 2 guardians. Welcome Guild Master Peng Ang, Alchemy Saint Feng, and Alchemy Saint Qin. The 2 guardians of the Great Beginning Realm, Timothy and Xiao Qiandong, had come. They were also the strongest experts protecting the great beginning Dao court. The one who had spoken just now was Xiao Qiandong, one of the two guardians. After they sat down, Li Jianqing asked, Guildmaster Peng, Alchemy Saint Feng, and Alchemy Saint Qin. In the 5-realm elixir competition, you guys had the most contact with Ning Cheng. What kind of person is Ning Cheng? How did he cause such a big commotion? Peng Ong pondered for a moment before saying cautiously, this person's talent can be said to be rare throughout the ages. At least, I have never seen an alchemy master as talented as Ning Cheng. Upon hearing Peng Ang's words, everyone's expressions changed slightly. Even the two Dao integration experts who had just come in focused and listened carefully. Who was Peng Ong? He was the #1 alchemy saint of the Great Beginning Realm, and a primordial chaos alchemy saint. In terms of status alone, Peng Ang's reputation among the cultivators of the Great Beginning Realm was not necessarily inferior to Dao Lord Li Jianqing's. How could Peng Ang's knowledge and experience be simple if he could become a primordial chaos alchemy saint and the One Realm Elixir Association master? He had never seen such a person praising Ning Cheng's talent before, which showed how talented Ning Cheng was. Li Jianqing's expression turned solemn as he said cautiously, Please enlighten me, Guild Master Peng. Peng Ong nodded and said, Back in the 5-realm Void City, Ning Cheng had an alchemy competition with Lu Dongsa. Many people knew that Lu Dongsa had lost. In fact, Ning Cheng's true strength was not that he had defeated Lu Dongsa, but that he could deduce the characteristics of a complex divine spirit herb that he had never seen before in the shortest time. In contrast, his ability to deduce new elixir formulas was secondary. Peng Ong had initially thought that Ning Cheng had known those divine spirit herbs, and had deliberately made up a name to mock Lu Dongsa. Later on, he had deduced that Ning Cheng had not known those divine spirit herbs at all. The reason Ning Cheng had been able to refine those 5 divine spirit herbs into elixirs was that he had used the limited time to deduce the main functions of those divine spirit herbs. He had been able to deduce the functions of 5 extremely rare, or even extinct divine spirit herbs in such a short time, and fuse them into a new elixir formula. Peng Ong had indeed never seen such talent before. In fact, if Ning Cheng had not gone missing, he would have also tried to befriend Ning Cheng like Lu Dongsa. Feng Shihao was a thin man with a pale face, but his cultivation level was not weak. He was also a primordial chaos sacred emperor. After Peng Ong finished speaking, he also said solemnly, If possible, I suggest that we do not become enemies with Ning Cheng. Guildmaster Peng is right. Not only is this person unparalleled in talent, but he is also very scheming. I heard that he was already a primordial Dao sacred emperor. When he destroyed the Luiying Dao Court's Dao Court army, he was able to become a Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Dao Court when he advanced to the Dao Essence realm. He was also able to defeat Lu Dongsa in an alchemy battle and befriend Lu Dongsa. This kind of person is not simple. The words of Peng Ong and the pale man made the Dao Court much quieter. After pondering for a moment, Li Jianqing still said, With Ning Cheng's talent, it does not seem surprising that he became a top-notch God Array master. How about this? Let's go to the Grand Change Realm first and find out what's going on. If possible, I, the Grand Beginning Realm, am willing to take out something in exchange for Ning Cheng's life. Everyone understood what Li Jianqing meant. This was equivalent to the Grand Beginning Realm coming forward to protect Ning Cheng when the Grand Change Realm destroyed Grand Essence. If Ning Cheng was really saved, then Ning Cheng would not forget the Grand Beginning Realm's life-saving grace. Few people usually came to the Realm Lord peak of the Grand Change Realm, but during this period there were many people coming and going. The Realm Lord, who could not usually be seen, often came and went in the various Dao courts during this period. The 4 Dao courts sending out their armies at the same time sounded easy, but it was not easy to do. Even if the Grand Mystery Dao Court only sent out 1 million Dao Court soldiers, it was still a huge coordination process. Everyone had their own interests in mind when they sent out their armies, and no one was willing to be at the forefront. Just as Yin Xingwen was struggling, the Grand Beginning Realm's Dao integration powerhouse Xiao Qiandong and the first court pillar Nuala came to visit. Yin Xingwen immediately received Xiao Qiandong. Nuala was one thing, but Xiao Qiandong was a Dao integration powerhouse from the Grand Beginning Realm. This kind of person definitely did not come from hundreds of millions of miles away to visit him, the Realm Lord. After some greetings, Yin Xingwen was shocked when Nuala said that she would send out the Grand Beginning Realm's army to help the Grand Change Realm teach the Grand Essence Realm a lesson. Yin Xingwen had never thought of asking the Grand Beginning Realm, the Grand Beginning Realm, and the Grand Ultimate Realm for help. First, there was no need. Second, he knew that the three Grand Realms would not help. Thank you, Tao Lord Jianqing, for remembering me, Yin Xingwen, at this time. However, there is no need for me to send out the army. The Grand Change Realm is just a trifling Grand Essence Realm. Of course, if Daoist Xiao doesn't mind, you can come with me to the Grand Essence Realm. If there is anything you like, you don't have to be polite, Yin Xingwen said euphemistically. The Grand Beginning Realm didn't need to send out the army. As long as Xiao Qiandong helped, it would be enough. Nuala had already guessed that Yin Xingwen would answer like this. Yin Xingwen wanted the Grand Change Realm's Dao Court to send out the army, which would affect his prestige as the Realm Lord. As for the other realms, he really didn't need help. What's more, if Xiao Qiandong could help, it would be more powerful than 1,000,000 Dao Court soldiers. When Xiao Qiandong heard this, he immediately said, "In that case, I will follow the Realm Lord to the Grand Essence Realm to see what's so strange about it. I don't want anything else from the Grand Essence Realm, but Ningcheng has some connections with my Grand Beginning Realm's Pil Saint Fengshe How. After the Grand Change Realm's army breaks through the Grand Essence defensive array, I just need to take Ningcheng away." Take Ningcheng away? Yin Xingwen looked at Xiao Qiandong helplessly. If I let you take Ningcheng away, how can I attack the Grand Essence Realm? I attacked the Grand Essence Realm to capture Ningcheng and ask him about the World Mountain. Of course, I also want to know about Ningcheng's other secrets. How can I let your Grand Beginning Realm take Ningcheng away? Nuala looked at Yin Xingwen's expression and immediately knew that something was wrong. Sure enough, Yin Xingwen followed up. The reason why my Grand Change Realm wants to attack Grand Essence is not because of Grand Essence. It's because Ningcheng is too hateful. This person deliberately opened the seal of the Grand Change Realm's underground abyss and killed millions of my Grand Change Luiying Dao Court's army. It can be said that this time, my Grand Change Realm's army came out because of Ningcheng. Since Yin Xingwen said so, Xiao Qiandong and Nuala understood that their plan to arrange a teleportation array with Ningcheng had fallen through. Moreover, they couldn't ask for help from the Grand Change Realm for this matter, and could only leave. After leaving the Grand Change Realm, the first thing Xiao Qiandong asked was, "Court Pillar Nuala, do you believe Yin Xingwen's words?" Nuala showed a slight smile. Yin Xingwen would never take revenge for the Luiying Dao Court, nor would he send out the Dao Court's army to capture Ningcheng just to unseal the demonic creatures in the underground abyss. There must be something we don't know. Chapter 1164. After Ningcheng returned to the Grand Essence Realm, he didn't immediately go to Heaven Essence Sacred City's Dao Court. Instead, he brought everyone to Grand Essence Mountain. Grand Essence Mountain had beautiful scenery and abundant spirit qi. Whether it was Ji Luofei, Ning Ruoqing or Ning Ruolin, they all fell in love with this place as soon as they arrived. Although Ningcheng's mysterious yellow bead was good, it wasn't completely perfected. Moreover, once Ningcheng perfected the mysterious yellow bead, everyone would have to leave temporarily. Therefore, when they saw the Grand Essence Mountain, they chose to stay in the Grand Essence Mountain to cultivate. After accompanying Ji Luofei and the others for a while, Ningcheng received a message from the Dao Court. Whether it was Ning Ruolin or Ji Luofei, they both knew that Ningcheng was still a Dao Lord of the Grand Essence Realm's Dao Court. Now that the Dao Court sent a message, they naturally didn't dare to let Ningcheng stay in Grand Essence Mountain. When Ningcheng arrived at Heaven Essence Sacred City's Dao Court, almost everyone from the Dao Court had already arrived. After a simple greeting to everyone from the Dao Court, Ningcheng asked, "Court Pillar Li Feng, is there any movement in the Grand Change Realm?" Li Feng stood up and said, "There is indeed movement in the Grand Change Realm. I heard that the Grand Change Realm's Lord Yin Xingwen personally came forward to deal with the Grand Essence Realm. Apart from the Yahua Dao Court, the other 4 Dao Courts in the Grand Change Realm have responded to Yin Xingwen's call." Ningcheng nodded. This was within his expectations. The reason why he opened the Grand Essence domain and formed a new Dao court army in the Grand Essence ruins was to deal with the Grand Change realm. Without Chu Manhe and the others, Ningqing would still feel a little uneasy. But with Chu Manhe and more than 30 veteran Dao fusion powerhouses, coupled with the Grand Essence realm's boundary protecting Grand Array and Trap and Kill Array, he didn't worry about the Grand Change realm breaking the Grand Essence realm's boundary protecting Grand Essence realm. But this time, it's not about the Grand Change realm, but the appearance of balanced soil. Li Feng said cautiously. Balanced soil. Ningqing stood up in surprise. Court Pillarly, do you really have news about balanced soil? Where is it? Fellow Taoist Xie from the Celestial Pole Island knows this better than me. Li Feng said and retreated. Ningqing had already seen the Xie Dao friend that Li Feng spoke of. It was Xie Zhishua from the Celestial Pole Path. Xie Zhishua had advanced to primordial chaos not long ago. Not only was he the sect master of Sky Pole Island, but he was also the top expert of Sky Pole Island. Xie Tingqing, please tell me about balanced soil. Ningqing slightly leaned to the side to show respect. Xie Zhishua was a sect master, and at the same time, he was also the main backbone of the Taisu Dao court. Although Ningqing had contributed to the Grand Essence Dao court, it did not mean that Ningqing could control everything. To put it bluntly, they had a cooperative relationship. Ningqing addressing Xie Zhishua as Xie Tingqing was also a show of respect to Xie Zhishua. Firstly, it was a respectful title, and secondly, it highlighted the purpose of the Dao court. Xie Zhishua had a lot of respect for Ningqing, a Dao monarch. Therefore, after giving the Dao monarch enough etiquette, he said, there are many small planets on the periphery of the Grand Essence realm, one of which is called the Isu star. Perhaps Dao monarch has never heard of this small place. Ningqing nodded but did not speak. He might not have heard of other planets, but he had heard of this elemental star before. Back in the Dark Nether realm, he was ambushed by the Green Hat Chu Qin, and finally blasted out of the Dark Nether realm by the laws of heaven and earth. He was seriously injured and was rescued by Su Shiqian of the Su clan's corner in the Grand Essence realm. This Su Shiqian came from the elemental star at that time. The elemental star was filled with primitive mountains and forests. Many low-level starry sky cultivators came here to survive and look for cultivation resources. The Su clan's corner also relied on the elemental star to do some cultivation resource business. Xie Zhishua continued. After Dao Monarch said to look for the primal chaos 5 soils, my everlasting island's disciples also paid attention to these 5 primal chaos soils. I didn't expect that my everlasting sect would actually find one of the 5 soils, the balanced soil. When I got the news, I wasn't in the Grand Essence realm. I wasn't far from the elemental star at that time. I didn't delay and immediately went to the elemental star. Ningqing felt a little excited. It seemed that his original strategy was correct. If he hadn't spread the news of finding the 5 soils to the entire Grand Essence realm, how could he have known about Shiran? How could he get the news about the balanced soil now? What happened next? Did you get the balanced soil? Ningqing couldn't wait to ask. He was too eager to repair the Grand Essence realm. Although he knew that Xie Zhishua must have said something wrong, he still had some expectations in his heart. Xie Zhishua spoke up in shame. At that time, the balanced soil appeared in a simple makeshift market of the elemental star. The cultivator who sold the balanced soil didn't know that it was the balanced soil. Because the balanced soil was wrapped in restrictions, it looked like a large piece of good quality segmented soil. So he sold it as a segmented soil, and it happened to be purchased by a disciple of my everlasting island. Ningqing sighed in his heart. If this piece of balanced soil was still in Xie Zhishua's hands, Xie Zhishua would have taken it out a long time ago. Sure enough, Xie Zhishua continued. Just as the transaction was completed, a cultivator suddenly grabbed that piece of segmented soil. He even said that he also wanted this piece of segmented soil, and asked my everlasting island's disciple to give it to him. My everlasting island's disciple naturally didn't want it. Under the competition between the two, the restrictions around the piece of balanced soil broke, revealing the balanced soil. Because my everlasting island's disciple had a slightly weaker cultivation, the balanced soil was snatched away from his hands, and he even suffered serious injuries. At that time, because of the exposure of the balanced soil, it caused a large-scale scramble. My everlasting island's disciple didn't want his things to be snatched away, not to mention that he also knew the importance of the balanced soil to my grand essence realm. So after sending me a message while suffering serious injuries, he also tried his best to snatch it. In the end, he died in the makeshift market. Ning Cheng's eyes flashed with killing intent. Isu Star was located on the edge of the Grand Essence Realm. Although it wasn't protected by the Grand Essence Realm's defensive array, it was still considered the Grand Essence Realm's territory according to the rules. Not to mention that someone had openly snatched something from the balanced soil in the Grand Essence Realm. The Grand Essence Realm would never let this matter go. Have you found out who the person who snatched the balanced soil is, and where he came from? Ningqing asked with a cold voice. Xie Zhishuo nodded. I've already found out. This person's name is Feng Qi, a rogue cultivator wandering the void. He came from the Absolute Beginning Realm, but as for this person's status in the Absolute Beginning Realm, I don't know. Ningqing pondered over it for a while before saying, the Grand Change Realm wants to deal with my Grand Essence Realm this time. I'm afraid that he won't appear outside the Grand Essence Realm's defensive array for at least a few years. The matter regarding the balanced soil isn't a trivial matter. I'll go to the Absolute Beginning Realm first. Court Pillarly, please inform Senior Kong. I'll also go out and find a few helpers. From the Grand Essence Realm to the Absolute Beginning Realm. With Ning Cheng's current speed, it wouldn't take more than 3 years at most using the teleportation array. Ning Cheng estimated that it would take a few years for the Grand Change Realm's tens of millions of Dao Court troops to coordinate and appear outside the Grand Essence Realm. Although everyone knew that Ning Cheng couldn't leave the Grand Essence Realm at this time. It's just that the matter regarding the balanced soil was too important. It was related to the restoration of the Grand Essence Realm's laws. The sooner they obtained this thing, the sooner they would be safe. If they were a day late and someone used this thing, it would be over. After Ning Cheng decided to go to the Absolute Beginning Realm, Li Feng and the others stood up and offered to follow Ning Cheng to the Absolute Beginning Realm. Ning Cheng refused them one by one. He asked Kong Xiushan to go with him because Kong Xiushan was a Dao Perfection Holy Emperor. As for Li Feng and the others, they wouldn't be of much help. Moreover, Li Feng and the others had more things to do in the Grand Essence Realm. The Grand Essence Realm had just stabilized, and they had to deal with the upcoming Grand Change Dao Court army. Ning Cheng was about to invite Chu Manhe and Wu Lin, but before Ning Cheng could, Chu Manhe came to find Ning Cheng. Apparently, she knew about Ning Cheng as soon as he appeared in Heaven Essence Sacred City. Following Chu Manhe and Wu Lin, 9 other people came. Ning Cheng knew all 9 of them. They were all holy emperors who had gone to the dragon cleansing pool to recover. Since they appeared here at this time, it meant that they had fully recovered their strength. Ning Cheng observed them and found that Yan Bin, Ge, and Wani were at least half-step Dao Perfection experts. As veteran half-step Dao Perfection experts, their strength wouldn't be any weaker than Shi Yiqing. Coupled with the other late-stage Primordial Chaos experts and Kong Xiushan, not to mention going to the Absolute Beginning Realm, even if they went to the Grand Change Realm, it wouldn't be a problem for them to protect themselves. Kong Xiushan came very quickly, and he was very enthusiastic about Ning Cheng's summons. Ning Cheng had invited him to go to the Absolute Beginning Realm first, and he came right after. It wasn't Ning Cheng's first time coming to the 5 Realms Void City. With his current cultivation level and the speed of the Starry Sky Wheel, it would only take him half a year to go from the Grand Essence Realm to the 5 Realms Void City. Although the 5 Realms Void City led to the 5 Grand Realms, one could only directly teleport to the Absolute Beginning Realm and the Grand Change Realm. To teleport to the other major realms, one would have to teleport outside the realms and then walk a certain distance. Ning Cheng's group of 13 people, except for Ning Cheng who had disguised himself, did not. Ning Cheng had disguised himself because he was too famous. There were only a few people in the 5 Realms Void City who didn't know Ning Cheng. Normally, it would have been fine, but at this time, the Grand Essence Realm and the Grand Change Realm were in a tense situation. Ning Cheng didn't want the people of the Grand Change Realm to know that he had gone to the Absolute Beginning Realm. to teleport from the 5 realms Void City's teleportation array to the major planes, except for the Grand Change realm, which was too expensive. The price of the other 4 realms was nothing to Ningcheng. After the Luiying Dao Court's invasion of the Grand Essence realm, Ningcheng had tens of billions of spirit crystals. The teleportation array from the 5 realms Void City to the Absolute Beginning realm could teleport 20 people at a time. After Ningcheng and the others stepped onto the teleportation array, Chu Manha sent a voice transmission to Ningcheng. Ningcheng, the person in linen robes on the teleportation array with us, is a Dao Integration Sacred Emperor. Even without Chu Manha's reminder, Ningcheng had already noticed this Dao Integration Sacred Emperor. When Ningcheng noticed this person was looking at Kong Xiushan. Kong Xiushan and Chu Manha were both Dao Integration Sacred Emperors. Kong Xiushan was a Dao Integration Sacred Emperor who had survived the second blight. Even so, Kong Xiushan's strength was still far inferior to Chu Manha's. The linen-robed man could not see Chu Manha's strength at first glance, but he could see Kong Xiushan's strength. Chapter 1165. You're going to Tai Chu as well? The beautiful woman beside He Dao suddenly asked. Chu Manha said calmly, that's right. We're going to Absolute Beginning as well. The pretty lady was looking at Kong Xiushan as she asked this question, but the one who answered was Chu Manha. After Chu Manha took the initiative to answer, the Dao Integration cultivator in linen clothes looked at Chu Manha. Only then did he realize that Chu Manha's cultivation level was higher than his. This meant that there were at least 2 Dao Integration Stage Holy Emperors in this group. The woman and the Dao Integration Stage Holy Emperor looked at each other and didn't say anything until the teleportation formation was activated. An extreme sense of dizziness struck them, and the Dao Integration Stage Holy Emperor and the beautiful woman discovered that no one in this group had actually fallen unconscious. Time and space constantly changed until everyone's feet touched the ground, and they walked out of the teleportation array. Welcome to my Absolute Beginning realm, fellow Taoists. Is there anything I can help you with? The pretty woman suddenly became enthusiastic. Although she was talking, her eyes were fixed on Chu Manha and Kong Xiushan. In her opinion, the leader of this group of people was either Chu Manha or Kong Xiushan. To her surprise, the one who took the initiative to speak was neither Chu Manha nor Kong Xiushan, but the young man with the lowest cultivation. Thank you. I guess you must be the first pillar of the Taichu Dao Court, Nuala, right? Ningcheng said with a smile. The beautiful woman was Nuala. She and Xiao Qiandong had just returned from the Grand Change realm, because they hadn't reached an agreement with the Grand Change realm. That's right, I'm Nora. Who are you? Seeing that Ningcheng knew that she was the first court pillar, Nuala knew that Ningcheng and the others had most likely come for the Taichu Dao Court. Ningcheng cupped his fists and said, My name is Ningcheng, and I come from the Grand Essence realm. Of course, I came here in disguise. I'm here for 2 things. The first is to pay a visit to Dao Lord Li, and the second is a private matter. Ningcheng? You're a Dao Lord of the Taisu Dao Court? Nuala finally understood and looked at Ningcheng in disbelief. She was just about to look for Ningcheng to cooperate with, but she didn't expect Ningcheng to come to the Absolute Beginning realm. Didn't Ningcheng know that the Grand Change realm was dealing with him? Since he dared to come to the Grand Beginning realm, wasn't he afraid that the Grand Beginning realm would take action against him and take him down? However, when Nuala thought of Chu Manha and the others around Ningcheng, she thought that maybe he really did not need to be afraid. Ningcheng smiled and said again, I am Ningcheng from the Taisu Dao Court. I wonder if Court Pillar Nuala can pass a message to me. I would like to meet Dao Lord Li. Visiting Li Jianqing was not something that Ningcheng had come up with on the spur of the moment. Rather, he had planned to do so a long time ago. Among the 5 Grand Realms, the Grand Beginning Realm was even more broken than the Grand Essence Realm. In fact, among the 5 Great Realms, besides the Great Change Realm, the Great Beginning Realm was the strongest. Absolute Beginning's foundation was too deep, and there were many capable people. Ningcheng had come to the absolute beginning realm to find Feng Qi, who had taken away balanced soil. It would be difficult for the absolute beginning Dao court to not know about it. Ningcheng decided to take this opportunity to visit Li Jiancheng while looking for Heng Yang. Even if he couldn't bring the absolute beginning realm together to deal with the grand change realm, he could at least stabilize the absolute beginning realm during the war and prevent it from participating in the war. The second was naturally to ask Li Jiancheng for help in finding Feng Qi's origin. At this time, Feng Qi probably hadn't returned to the absolute beginning realm yet. As long as he could find his origin, he might be able to find Feng Qi. Ningcheng believed that Li Jiancheng wouldn't fall out with the grand essence realm for a piece of balanced soil. Balanced soil wasn't like breath soil, and its value was far less precious. Of course, Dao friends, you can come with us to the Dao court of the absolute beginning sacred Dao city. Our Dao Lord has always admired Dao Lord Ning. We will definitely be happy to see Dao Lord Ning here. Nuala understood and said enthusiastically. After that, she sent out a message. She wanted to find Ningcheng. Now that Ningcheng appeared in the absolute beginning realm, how could she not be happy? Whether Nuala was telling the truth or not, Li Jiancheng's welcome to Ningcheng was not fake. Ningcheng and the others had just arrived at the absolute beginning sacred Dao city, when Li Jiancheng and a group of important figures from the Dao court came out of the city to welcome them. I've long heard of Dao Lord Ning's name. I've long known that Dao Lord Ning is a peerless genius that only appears once in a trillion years. Today, I, Li Jiancheng, can't help but be overjoyed to see Dao friend Ning in the absolute beginning realm. Li Jiancheng's youthful face was filled with sincerity and enthusiasm as he greeted Ningcheng from afar. Ningcheng quickly stepped forward and said in the same polite tone, "The damage to the absolute beginning realm is far worse than my grand essence realm. Dao friendly can make the absolute beginning realm a powerful place, second only to the grand change realm. Ningcheng really admires you." Everyone exchanged pleasantries. Ningcheng briefly introduced Chu Manha and the others, and Li Jiancheng also briefly introduced the people who came with him. Only then did he warmly welcome everyone to the absolute beginning guest hall. Fine wine and divine fruits were served like flowing water. Li Jiancheng personally greeted Ningcheng and the others, which showed that he really cared about Ningcheng's arrival. To be honest, Ningcheng didn't expect Li Jiancheng to be so polite to him. He was even prepared that Li Jiancheng would give him some face in order to please the grand change realm. He hadn't expected that none of this would happen. Instead, he felt a little uncomfortable with the absolute beginning Dao court's enthusiasm. This was definitely not because Li Jiancheng knew that he was very strong this time. There were at least 2 Dao integration experts behind Li Jiancheng. According to Li Jiancheng's introduction, the man in linen clothes who had come with them before was called Xiao Qiandong. The other Dao integration expert who had been sitting next to Li Jiancheng was called Timothy. Based on Ningcheng's judgment, Timothy's strength was probably a little stronger than Kang Xiushan's. After 3 rounds of wine, Li Jiancheng raised his wine glass and said to Ningcheng, "Logically speaking, I should be the one going to the Grand Essence realm to congratulate the establishment of the Grand Essence Dao Court, and congratulate Dao friend Ning on becoming a Dao Lord. Now that Dao friend Ning has taken the initiative to come to my absolute beginning realm, I'm really ashamed. This glass of wine is my fault." After saying that, Li Jiancheng raised his wine glass and drank it in one gulp. After drinking all the wine in the glass, Li Jiancheng continued, "Brother Ning, no matter what you come to my absolute beginning realm for, as long as it can be done by the absolute beginning realm, I, Li Jiancheng, will not decline." He directly changed the title of Dao Lord to Brother Ning, and invisibly pulled his relationship with Ningcheng closer. Such a cautious promise made Ningcheng feel even more apprehensive. He also raised his wine glass and drank it in one gulp. Then he said, "Thank you for your generosity and politeness, Brother Li. This time, I really need your help with something in the absolute beginning realm. I'm sure Brother Li knows that the Grand Change realm is stronger than the Grand Essence realm, and forcibly dispatched the Dao Court's army, right?" Li Jiancheng nodded and said with some disdain, "The Grand Change realm's Yin Xingwen is really shameless. The 5 great realms were like brothers in ancient times. Now, for his own selfish desires, he actually wants to use the army against the Grand Essence Dao Court. The Absolute Beginning Realm is extremely dissatisfied with this. Previously, the guardian of the Great Beginning Realm, Xiao Qiandong, and the first court pillar, Nuala, went to the Grand Change Realm to persuade them about this matter. However, Yin Xingwen is like a tortoise eating its weight. He has already steeled his heart. However, Daoist Ning, don't worry. In any case, the Absolute Beginning Realm will not sit back and watch the Grand Change Realm destroy the Grand Essence Realm. Ningqing found it funny in his heart. If you Li Jianqing were so kind, you would have gone to the Grand Essence Realm a long time ago. Why would you wait for me to come here today? However, he didn't point it out. Anyone would talk about this kind of thing. If he wanted the Absolute Beginning Realm to stand on his side, or even speak up for the Grand Essence Realm, he would need to come up with practical benefits. Many thanks for Brother Li's righteousness. Although the first thing I came here for has nothing to do with the Grand Change Realm, I want to form an alliance with the Absolute Beginning Realm. This way, those arrogant people won't be able to do whatever they want unscrupulously. Ningqing cupped his fists and spoke with caution. Li Jianqing nodded. I have the same idea as Brother Ning. From today onwards, my Absolute Beginning Realm will be an ally of the Grand Essence Realm. Even if I can't stop the Grand Change Realm from mobilizing the army against the Grand Essence Realm, I would still advise the Grand Change Realm not to go too far. Ningqing grew even more puzzled. He couldn't figure out why Li Jianqing spoke so cautiously. It was as if he really wanted to form an alliance with the Grand Essence Realm. Did he misunderstand him? Not waiting for Ningqing to solve the doubts in his heart, Li Jianqing spoke up again. Brother Ning, I actually have something I want to ask Brother Ning for help with. Hearing this sentence, Ningqing breathed a sigh of relief. That's more like it. If Ningqing didn't need his help, then he would feel strange. Brother Li, please speak. As long as I can help, I won't refuse. Ningqing spoke in the same tone as Li Jianqing. Li Jianqing spoke up with joy. I heard that Brother Ning arranged the extremely powerful boundary protection grand array in the Grand Essence Realm by yourself? Ningqing immediately understood that Li Jianqing wanted him to arrange an array formation. He didn't dare say anything else, but he could arrange an array formation without offending anyone. Brother Li overpraises me. Although I didn't arrange the Grand Essence Realm's boundary protection grand array by myself, it was arranged under my leadership. Ningqing spoke the truth. His attainments in the Tao of arrays were the highest, so there was no need to hide it. Li Jianqing clapped his hands. My Absolute Beginning Pill Unions Association Master Pengong once said that Brother Ning is a peerless genius. It seems that it's true. I wanted to arrange a teleportation array, but this teleportation array is a bit difficult. My Absolute Beginning Realm doesn't have many top-level array Tao experts, and the Grand Change Realm, and I don't get along because of the Grand Essence Realm. So I shamelessly asked Dao friend Ning for help. Ningqing nodded. No problem. But where does this teleportation array lead to? What kind of teleportation array is it? Li Jianqing stood up. Brother Ning, this teleportation array is a bit far. I estimate that it will cross more than one positional plane. As for the location, I haven't determined it yet. Cross more than one positional plane? Ningqing frowned suddenly and said apologetically, Brother Li, if it's a positional plane, I'm afraid I can't arrange this kind of teleportation array. Even if Brother Li asks for more help, my ability is still limited. When he said this, Ningqing thought of Nianyan. Perhaps Nianyan, an array Tao genius, could arrange a positional teleportation array. As for him, he was still far from it. Chapter 1166. Li Jianqing seemed to know that Ningqing would say this. He smiled and said, I also know that even the Grand Change Realm wouldn't be able to find such an expert in the Tao of arrays. My current idea is to set up a teleportation array to the nearest place in the other positional plane, and then set up another teleportation array in the other positional plane. When we have the strength, I will ask Brother Ning to set up a planar teleportation array. Ningqing instantly understood Li Jianqing's meaning. It was as if two places were separated by a river in the middle. To connect these two places, the road builder could only build two roads, one to this side of the river, and the other from the other side of the river. As for how to cross the river, it had nothing to do with the array formation. Of course, when he had the ability to build a bridge, he could build a new one. If that's the case, I'm willing to contribute to the Grand Beginning Realms array. Since Li Jianqing said it like this, Ningqing naturally wouldn't refuse and agreed to Li Jianqing's request without hesitation. Hearing Ningqing's words, Li Jianqing said with joy, "It's a great joy for my Grand Beginning Realm and Grand Essence Realm to become brothers. By the way, Brother Ning, there's one more thing. Ningqing came here for the matter of Balance Earth. As for forming an alliance with Li Jianqing, it was completely incidental. Whether it was Ningqing or Li Jianqing, they both knew it in their hearts. This kind of alliance couldn't stand the test of wind and rain. As long as the Grand Change Realm destroyed the Grand Essence Realm, it would be strange if Li Jianqing would still remember this alliance. Similarly, if the Grand Change Realm wanted to deal with the Grand Beginning Realm, Ningqing wouldn't be stupid enough to help the Grand Beginning Realm. This alliance meant that when the Grand Change Realm dealt with the Grand Essence Realm, the Grand Beginning Realm wouldn't intervene. It could even send someone to help the Grand Beginning Realm. If Ningqing didn't die, then he would have to help the Grand Beginning Realm complete the array formation. Everyone knew this in their hearts. Brotherly, there's a cultivator named Feng Qi in the Grand Beginning Realm. This person killed a disciple of my Grand Essence Heaven's Pole Island and stole a piece of material. I'm very interested in this material. The other thing I came here for is to ask Brotherly to help me find this Feng Qi." Ningqing did not say what Feng Qi had stolen. He was not sure if Li Jianqing would have any thoughts about Heng Ran. However, he didn't have a choice. Feng Qi was from the Great Beginning Realm, and he had to go through Li Jianqing, the Dao Lord of the Dao Court, to find him. After saying that, Ningqing took out a crystal ball and handed it to Li Jianqing. "Brotherly, this is Feng Qi's image. I guess he hasn't reached the absolute beginning realm yet. As long as Brotherly can give me the clues to find this person, I will be eternally grateful." Li Jianqing took the crystal ball. Ningqing didn't say what Feng Qi took, but Li Jianqing knew that it must be something extraordinary. If it was an ordinary thing, then Ningqing would not have spoken to him in such a cautious manner. He could also guess that even if this thing was not a trivial matter, it should not be enough to cause him to become greedy and become enemies with Ningqing. Otherwise, Ningqing would not have spoken about this matter. Ningqing did not say what this material was. As long as he could find Feng Qi, then he would be able to ask him what this material was. "Brother Ning, don't worry. Leave this matter to me. As long as Feng Qi came out of the absolute beginning realm, I can find his background," Li Jianqing promised without hesitation. The help of Ningqing's array formation was too important to him. The sacred Dao world was definitely a treasure land that even Tai Yi had not discovered. If he wanted to occupy the sacred Dao world, he needed the simplest way to go to the sacred Dao world. This method could only be teleportation. Ningqing was an array formation expert, so Tai Yi had to rely on him. The atmosphere between the two sides was good. After talking about business, they exchanged cultivation experiences and talked about all sorts of interesting things. After that, the Absolute Beginning Realm Elixir Association Master Pengong, Alchemy Sage Feng Shihao, and Qin Zishu also came. Pengong wanted to make friends with Ningqing, so he naturally would not make Ningqing unhappy. Li Jianqing wanted to ask Chu Manhe and the others who came with Ningqing, but Ningqing did not say anything, so he could not ask in detail. Li Jianqing was not bragging. In just half a month he found out Feng Qi's background. Feng Qi did come out of the Absolute Beginning Realm, but he was a traitor of the Absolute Beginning Realm. This person was originally from the Star Point Palace in the Absolute Beginning Realm. Later he killed the Star Point Palace master and his wife, who were very grateful to him. He stole the Star Point Palace's treasure, the Star Point Plate, and disappeared. The Star Point Plate was not only the treasure of the Star Point Palace, but it was also a very famous treasure in the entire Absolute Beginning Realm. The Star Point Plate was not an offensive Dharma treasure, but an auxiliary treasure. It only had one function, and that was to clearly find many treasures that others could not see. Even some treasures that were hidden extremely well could be found by the star-pointing compass. Ningcheng was very disappointed when he heard this news. This meant that Fangqi would not return to the absolute beginning realm. His idea of finding Fangqi's background was also lost. Fangqi was so cruel that he could even kill the palace master and his wife. How could he return to the absolute beginning realm? Since he could not find a way from the absolute beginning realm, Ningcheng could only say goodbye to Li Jiancheng. Li Jiancheng personally sent Ningcheng away, and sent the absolute beginning realm's protector Xiao Qiandong to follow Ningcheng to the Grand Essence realm. Li Jiancheng did not say that he would send Xiao Qiandong to help, but everyone knew it. That was once the Grand Essence realm could not withstand the Grand Simplicity realm's attack, Xiao Qiandong would rescue Ningcheng and return to the absolute beginning realm. Since Xiao Qiandong rescued Ningcheng and returned to the absolute beginning realm, Ningcheng naturally had to help the absolute beginning realm arrange the array formation. Heaven Essence Sacred City, Grand Essence Dao Court Hall, Ningcheng, who had rushed back from the absolute beginning realm, was sitting on the Dao Lord throne. Next to him, there were 37 experts that almost no one recognized. These 37 people were naturally primordial chaos powerhouses who had recovered their cultivation in the Grand Essence Sea's Dragon Cleansing Pool. After recovering their cultivation, they did not even have time to take out the innate dragon beads. Instead, they came to Heaven Essence Sacred City to cheer for Ningcheng. Because the Grand Essence Dao Court's army had already arrived outside the Grand Essence Realm's Protector Grand Array, Ningcheng couldn't even squeeze out the time to go to the Grand Essence Mountain, let alone arrange the array formation to remove the innate dragon beads. Yin Xingwen arrived at the Grand Essence Realm much faster than Ningcheng had expected. If Ningcheng hadn't wasted almost no time in the Grand Essence Realm, maybe Ningcheng would not have returned by the time the Grand Essence Realm's Dao Court's army arrived outside the Grand Essence Realm. Li Feng knew that Ningcheng had a group of helpers, but he never asked Ningcheng where these people came from. Li Feng didn't understand why these experts would help Ningcheng, but this matter did not bring any harm to the Grand Essence Realm. At this time, Ningcheng sat in the Grand Essence Dao Court's hall with more than 30 experts sitting around Ningcheng. These more than 30 experts made Li Feng understand that even without his support, these 30 people were enough to help Ningcheng sweep away any unfavorable factors in the Grand Essence Realm. After everyone arrived, Li Feng was the first to stand up and give a salute. Dao Lord, this time, the Grand Essence Realm's Realm Master Yin Xingwen has arrived outside the Grand Essence Realm. Ningcheng nodded. Court Master Li, do you know the general strength of the other party? Li Feng continued. This time, in addition to the Grand Essence Realm's Realm Master Dao Integration Expert Yin Xingwen, there are also 2 Dao Integration Experts, Ao Beijiang and Feng Xian. In addition, there are also Luiying Dao Court's Dao Integration Expert Chu Bai and Jade Clear Dao Court's Dao Integration Expert Wei Xinghao. Ningcheng was slightly taken aback. He didn't expect the Grand Essence Realm to send 5 Dao Integration Holy Emperors this time, including a Realm Master. If it weren't for the help of Chu Manhe and the other 37 experts, perhaps the Grand Essence Realm wouldn't have lasted for long. Li Feng continued. These are just the Dao Integration Experts from the Grand Essence Realm. As for Primordial Chaos Experts, there are hundreds of them. Not only are there Dao Integration and Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors, but the Grand Essence Dao Court's army also has nearly 50 million people. Hearing Li Feng's words, not only was Ningcheng surprised, but the others were also shocked. They all knew that the Grand Essence Realm wouldn't come to the Grand Essence Realm this time. But they didn't know that it would be this powerful. More than 50 million Dao Court soldiers, 5 Dao Integration Holy Emperors, and hundreds of Primordial Chaos Experts had come. How could they fight against them? Even if the Grand Essence Realm had a Boundary Protection Grand Array, and a Trap and Kill Array to complement it, in front of so many experts, it would be very difficult to stop the Grand Essence Dao Court's army from entering the Grand Essence Realm. Many people looked at the more than 30 people beside Ningcheng. They didn't know who they were, but they also knew that they were Ningcheng's last resort. But what was the use of them? Dao Lord Ning, how confident are you in this battle? Shi Yiqing's gaze swept across the group of Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors who came out of the Perpetual Moon Sect and asked calmly. She could see that the people who came with Ning Cheng weren't weak. They should all be primordial chaos holy emperors. Even that woman was a Tao integration expert, and should be far stronger than her. She had the same thought as the others. So what if it was like this? The Grand Change Realms Yinxingwen alone could suppress several Tao integration holy emperors on their side. Moreover, the Grand Change Realm had brought hundreds of primordial chaos holy emperors. The Grand Change Realm's primordial chaos holy emperors, plus the unknown people around Ningcheng, probably only numbered about 100. Ningcheng said calmly, I don't even have 10% confidence. This isn't the first time. We can use our hidden trap and kill array to trick the other party. I've said it before. Even if I have no confidence, I will not give up resistance since I was born in the Grand Essence Realm. If you want to set foot in the Grand Essence Realm, you will have to step over me. Ningcheng's words made Shi Yiqing frown slightly, but many of the Grand Essence Tao Court's holy emperors enthusiastically supported him. The reason why the Grand Essence Realm could reach where it was today was because of Ningcheng's determination to protect the Grand Essence Realm. If they could stop the Grand Change Realm's invasion this time, the Grand Essence Realm would rise to another level. Kang Xiushan didn't speak. He even nodded. Only he knew that the Tao integration holy emperors in the Grand Essence Realm weren't too far off from the Grand Change Realm. In addition to him and Shi Yiqing, Chu Manhe, who was next to Ningcheng, was definitely a powerhouse among powerhouses. There was also a hidden powerhouse, Xiao Qiandong, who wasn't sitting here. In this way, the Grand Essence Realm had 4 Tao integration holy emperors. Even if they used the defense array and trap and kill array, they might not necessarily be able to stop Yinxingwen. This matter was too big. Shui Ying, who was still in the second heaven's blight, also came to this Tao court meeting. He walked out after hearing Ningcheng's words. Just as he was about to speak, a clear voice suddenly rang in everyone's ears. Ningcheng, you have 2 hours to come out of the Grand Essence defense array and face me. Otherwise, my Grand Change Tao court army will turn the entire Grand Essence realm into dust. It's Yinxingwen. Shi Yiqing's expression changed slightly. She had a deep fear of Yinxingwen. In her heart, Yinxingwen was an invincible existence. Chapter 1167. Ningcheng laughed and stood up. Since you're here, let's go and meet them. Court Masterly, although the Grand Essence Tao court army doesn't have many people, we can't lose our momentum. Ningcheng knew that he wasn't as strong as the other party, but he didn't want to lose his momentum. Before the meeting in the throne room, he had discussed a countermeasure with Chu Manhe and the Black and White Beards. However, this countermeasure had to suppress all the primordial chaos holy emperors and Tao unification holy emperors to deal with the Grand Change Tao court army. Now that the other party had too many Tao unification and primordial chaos holy emperors, it would be difficult to suppress them. Li Feng understood what Ningcheng meant. He, the other 9 court masters, and Beit Saixia all stood up and expressed their support for the Tao Lord's decision. After Ningcheng and the Grand Essence Realm's experts walked out of the defense array, they saw an endless Tao court army. The army was dense and continuous, like the waves in the sea, undulating majestically. Under the suppression of the Tao court army, the void square outside the Grand Essence Realm only had a few scattered corners. A middle-aged Confucian stood at the front, and behind him were hundreds of powerful auras with Tao runes. Seeing Ningcheng come over, the middle-aged Confucian said in a calm voice, "You must be Pill Sage Ning, who won the top 3 in the 5 Realms Pill competition." Pill Sage Ning is really young and promising. Not only is he the Grand Essence Pill Association's leader, but he also established the Grand Essence Tao Court in the Grand Essence Realm. Ningcheng didn't salute. His gaze swept across the Tao court army behind the middle-aged Confucian, and then fell on the hundreds of powerful primordial chaos holy auras behind the middle-aged Confucian. After a while, his gaze finally fell on Yinxingwen. You're Yinxingwen, the Grand Change Realm Master, one of the strongest Tao unification experts in the Grand Change Realm? Yinxingwen snorted when he heard Ningcheng's words. Whether in terms of seniority or age, Ningcheng and he weren't on the same level. No matter why Yinxingwen was standing here, Ningcheng should first salute him with cupped fists before speaking politely. Yin Xingwen ignored the rude Ning Cheng and said to Ao Beijiang next to him, Beijiang, I finally understand why you brought the Dao court army to the Grand Essence Realm. The Grand Essence Realm is not terrible. What's terrible is that the Grand Essence Realm has such an arrogant person. If this arrogant person continues, sooner or later, he will bring disaster to the 5 Grand Essence Realm. Before Ao Beijiang could speak, Feng Xian chimed in from the side. This person is not only arrogant but also shameless. He stole my Boundless Palace's Mountain River Dipper through a sneak attack, and similarly used despicable means to steal Brother Beijiang's things. Even when facing the advance of the Dao Court's army, this person still had the mentality of launching a sneak attack. The few of them spoke through the Dao charm aura. Although it was just a few ordinary words, everyone outside the Grand Essence Realm could hear them clearly. In, up in s feng the s chung. Master, s chung, sex t. SSA. Chung is when s chung's t. T chung I chung t t chung long to chung I chung. T chung up? Chung. T. T. If we don't kill such a vicious person, our 5 great realms will never have a peaceful day. After Yin Xingwen said this, countless soldiers of the Tai Dao court began to echo him. Kill the villains. Don't disturb the stability of the 5 great realms. Ning Qing knew about Yin Xingwen's idea, which was to instigate the war. He also spoke up loudly. Yin Xingwen, as the master of a realm, you actually mobilized the Dao court army to invade my Grand Essence realm for your own benefit. Didn't Feng Xian willingly use the news of the Chaos Tree to get you to leave the Grand Essence realm after I killed countless invaders from the Realmless Palace? Don't make it sound so grand as if you're a saint. Ning Cheng's voice was also sent out using his Dao runes. All the Dao court soldiers who were inciting to kill Ning Cheng quietened down at this moment. There was no doubt that Ning Cheng's words were more convincing. It was normal for Yin Xingwen to mobilize the Dao court army to attack the Grand Essence realm for the sake of the Chaos Tree. Just as Yin Xingwen had said, it was strange that the Dao court army had been mobilized to break the seal of the underground abyss for Ning City. Even the several Dao Unification Holy Emperors who came with Yin Xingwen also thought that this was the real reason. No wonder Yin Xingwen was willing to take out the Chaos Aura, and even made the biggest sacrifice. It turned out to be for the Chaos Tree. Who wouldn't want this thing? Yin Xingwen felt something wrong with everyone's aura and secretly cursed in his heart. Most of what he said had a basis, but Ningqing didn't play cards according to common sense. It was simply nonsense. Chaos Tree? If there was a Chaos Tree, Yin Xingwen paused slightly as he thought of this. He even felt a little scared. He found that Ningqing's nonsense was just right. If there was a Chaos Tree, he would have mobilized the Dao court army to destroy the Grand Essence realm and snatch the Chaos Tree back. In any case, he couldn't let Ningqing continue. Just as he was about to issue an order, Feng Xian's face suddenly changed and turned pale in an instant. Feng Xian was a Dao Unification Holy Emperor, and an extremely powerful Dao Unification Holy Emperor. Feng Xian was indispensable in Yin Xingwen's attack plan. Now that Feng Xian's face changed drastically, Yin Xingwen immediately noticed it and quickly asked, Dao friend Feng, I'm about to attack the Grand Essence defensive array. Do you need something? Feng Xian took a deep breath and said slowly, Realm Master Yin Xingwen, I'm going to attack the Grand Essence realm this time. My life belongs to Realm Master. No matter what Realm Master says, I Feng Xian will do my best. Yin Xingwen quickly said, since we're going to deal with the Grand Essence defensive array together, everyone will naturally work together. There's no such thing as whose life belongs to whom. Feng Xian bowed and said, I just want to ask Realm Master one thing. As long as Realm Master agrees, Feng Xian's words will not be discounted. Yin Xingwen smiled, Dao friend Feng, please speak. As long as I, Yin Xingwen, can do it, I will not refuse. Yin Xingwen knew Feng Xian's purpose in coming here, and he also knew what Feng Xian wanted. Therefore, he could agree to Feng Xian's request without any doubt. Feng Xian bowed again and said in a solemn tone, Realm Master Yin Xingwen, I have 2 brothers, Feng Qi and Feng Shi. They were like brothers to me, but I felt their soul tablets shatter just now. They were killed by someone. I, Feng Xian, just want to ask Realm Master to help me once the Grand Essence realm is over. Feng Xian knew Feng Qi and Feng Xi's abilities too well. Feng Qi wasn't much of a threat, but Feng Qi was the main reason. Feng Qi was still far from Dao integration, but there weren't many people who could kill Feng Qi. Even as his brother, it wouldn't be easy for him to kill Feng Qi. The Feng clan had a trace of the ancient seven-colored phoenix's bloodline, and Feng Qi inherited the seven-colored phoenix's bloodline. He had an innate spirit power, the rainbow phoenix escape. As long as Feng Qi wanted to leave, even a Dao integration sacred emperor stronger than Feng Xian couldn't catch Feng Qi. But now Feng Qi was killed, which showed how powerful the person who killed Feng Qi was. Even if Feng Xian went there personally, he might not necessarily be able to take revenge. Furthermore, after experiencing the Great Essence Realm incident, Feng Xian's confidence had already suffered a blow that he didn't even realize. Even a small Ning city could stop the Boundless Palace's invasion, let alone the mysterious expert who killed Feng Qi in heavens beyond. Yin Xingwen, who didn't care, nodded and asked, "May I know where Feng Qi and Feng Xi died? If I, Yin Xingwen, can help, I naturally won't refuse." Feng Xian took a deep breath and said word by word, "Feng Qi and Feng Xi went to heavens beyond at my request. I didn't hear from them after that. Not long ago, I received news that their soul tablets had shattered." Heavens beyond? Ao Beijiang, who was standing next to Yin Xingwen, asked in surprise. Feng Xian nodded. "That's right. Feng Qi and Feng Xi's soul tablets shattered, so they must have died in heavens beyond. I'm afraid that the person who sealed Feng Qi's escape and killed him isn't weaker than me. Therefore, I want to ask Xingwen Realm Lord for help." Yin Xingwen nodded. "I know about heavens beyond. I've been there once, and it's a little strange. It doesn't matter. After we break the Grand Essence Defense Array, I'll definitely find time to go to heavens beyond with Daoist Feng." Ao Beijiang opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something but didn't say anything in the end. He also knew that this was not the time to talk. Feng Xian had played a very important role in Yin Xingwen's decision to break the Grand Essence Defense Array. "Thank you, Xingwen Realm Lord. Feng Xian will definitely do his best to help you break the Grand Essence Defense Array." Feng Xian hurriedly thanked him. The recent series of blows had made him, who was once the supreme Boundless Palace Lord, lose all his confidence. Yin Xingwen nodded, raised his hand, and waved several array flags before saying, "Beijiang will take the front, Weixing will take the back, Chubai and Xian will take the side, and I'll take the center. 40 million Dao Court troops will attack the Grand Essence Defense Array with all their might. The rest will press forward at any time." The 5 Dao integration experts attacked at the same time. Yin Xingwen might have used array flags to coordinate with them. In fact, Yin Xingwen had used brute force to attack, and had nothing to do with array formations. Since Ningcheng could arrange such a realm defense array, his array Dao must be extraordinary. As the realm lord of a realm, Yin Xingwen naturally wouldn't use his shortcomings against the enemy's strengths. He used brute force. As long as the Grand Essence realm wasn't as strong as him, he could only rely on brute force. Ningcheng, who stood at the edge of the Grand Essence realm's defense array, frowned when he saw Yin Xingwen's actions. His confinement-killing array was strong, but it was a pity that Yin Xingwen didn't enter his confinement-killing array. Ningcheng only had 2 ways to stop this brute force attack. The first way was to use brute force and send 5 Dao integration experts and hundreds of primordial chaos sacred emperors. Naturally, he would also need to use tens of millions of Dao court troops. In this way, the pressure on the Grand Essence Defense Array would be minimized. Similarly, the Grand Essence Defense Array wouldn't play much of a role. The second way was to use the Grand Essence Defense Array to block Yin Xingwen's brute force attack. However, no matter how strong the Grand Essence Realm's defense array was, it would break one day. This was mainly because the strength of the Grand Essence Realm's Dao Court troops was too different from the Grand Change Realm's Dao Court troops. While Ningcheng frowned, the Grand Change Dao Court troops and countless primordial chaos sacred emperors had already begun to attack the Grand Essence Defense Array under the command of Yin Xingwen and several other Dao integration experts. Chapter 1168. In the face of such a strong attack, Ningcheng could only rely on the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array and mobilize the Grand Essence Dao Court's army to block it. Otherwise, he could only face it head-on. He, Chumanha, and the black-white bearded man had come up with a moving trapping array method. This moving trapping array not only required more than 1,000,000 array Dao experts, but it also required 2 super-powerful array Dao Sacred Emperors. Ningcheng was prepared for more than 100 array Dao experts. The Grand Essence Dao Court Sha Sujuan was all array Dao masters. As for the 2 super array Dao experts, Ningcheng was one, and the black-white bearded man was the other. However, this method had to first trap the 5 Dao integration experts and the hundreds of primordial essence sacred emperors on the other side. Therefore, this method was also very difficult. There was a huge gap between Tai Su's strength and Tai Yi's strength. If they didn't rely on the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array, Tai Su's less than 20 million Dao Court army probably wouldn't last long. Tens of millions of Dao Court army clashed together, and the Dao runes of space instantly became chaotic. All kinds of Dharma treasures and divine essence exploded, and the entire void made a tearing sound. Even though the surrounding void was extremely tough, there were occasional spatial cracks caused by the explosion of law power. Some Dao Court army cultivators were sucked into the spatial cracks and soon disappeared. Although the Grand Essence Realm had the help of the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array, there were too many Dao Court army in the Grand Change Realm. Their overall strength was also stronger than the Grand Essence Realms. In addition, the Primordial Essence Sacred Emperors were far stronger than the Grand Essence Realm. Therefore, the Grand Essence Realm suffered more casualties when the 2 sides collided. Looking at Yin Xingwen in the middle, and the 4 armies constantly pouncing on the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array, Ningcheng's face turned a little ugly. The only way to stop the madness of the Grand Change Dao Court army was to stop the 5 Dao Integration Sacred Emperors. Ningcheng, I'm afraid we can't go on like this. No matter how strong the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array is, it can't withstand such a powerful continuous attack. When the Grand Essence Dao Court army collapses, the Grand Essence Realm Protection Array will also collapse. At that time, I'm afraid the entire Grand Essence Realm will be crushed by the Grand Essence Dao Court army. Chumanha stood beside Ningcheng and shook her head. Ningcheng sighed. I also know that most of the opposing Primordial Chaos Holy Emperors have yet to take action. Once our Primordial Chaos experts make a move, not only will the other party's Primordial Chaos experts go all out, but the 5 Dao integration experts will also not hold back. At that time, the other party will suppress us with full force. However, there was one more sentence that Ningcheng did not say. He learned about Yin Xingwen's strength from Li Feng and Kang Xiushan. He knew that Yin Xingwen was too terrifying. Even Chumanha might not be his match. Pang Yuan, who was standing next to Chumanha, spoke up in a deep voice. Ningcheng, I think what Dao friend Chu said is right. This can't go on. Yin Xingwen, the Grand Change Realm Lord, should be the strongest among all the Dao integration experts. Why don't you leave Yin Xingwen to me, and let Daoist Yen and Daoist One hold back Feng Xian? Only by delaying the 5 enemy Dao integration stage super mighty figures can you and the black-white beard execute our plan, Chumanha continued. Ningcheng did not speak. He knew what Chumanha meant. In fact, Ningcheng did not think that it would be a problem to let Yen Bin and Wani hold back Feng Xian. The problem was that Shi Yiqing and Kang Xiushan might not be the opponents of the other 2 Dao integration sacred emperors in the Grand Change Realm. Even Chumanha herself might not be able to deal with Yin Xingwen. Once another Dao integration sacred emperor died on Grand Su's side, it would be a complete defeat. No matter how strong Grand Su's defense array was, it would not be able to hold on. Crack. An explosive sound rang out, and Ningcheng's heart sank. He knew that this was not the way to go, but he had not expected the defense array to be so fragile. How long had it been? Cracks could appear in the array. Although his defense array could repair itself, that was only if no one attacked. Chumanha did not wait any longer. Her figure flashed, and she rolled up the 9 profound beads in her hand. The 9 profound beads brought 9 rays of brilliance and fell towards Yin Xingwen in the middle. Ningcheng cursed inwardly. Even if he had to make a move, He would not let Chu Manha attack Yin Xingwen. This did not fit his plan. Even if Chu Manha was no worse than Yin Xingwen, he would not get any benefits. According to his plan, he would let Chu Manha attack one of the other 4 Dao Integration Sacred Emperors instead of letting Chu Manha deal with Yin Xingwen. This was like a Tianji horse race. Chu Manha was the strongest on his side. If she could kill one of the other Dao Integration Sacred Emperors by surprise, things would be much easier. Moreover, the possibility of this happening was very high. One was that Chu Manha was very strong, and the other was that when Chu Manha attacked, he could use the Realm Protection Array to block the other 4 Dao Integration Sacred Emperors for a breath of time. A breath of time was very short, and for a Dao Integration Sacred Emperor, too many things could happen in a breath of time. Unfortunately, Chu Manha did not do as he thought and chose to attack the strongest Yin Xingwen. Ning Cheng sighed. He knew that Chu Manha was proud. If this woman was not so proud, she would not have been trapped in the Perpetual Moon Gate by the Perpetual Moon Holy Emperor. A white pillar of light rose from the void, like a heavenly dragon spitting water, and enveloped Yin Xingwen. Chu Manha immediately used her great divine ability, Heaven-Splitting 9 Pearls. The power of this divine ability was that it suddenly extracted all the laws in the entire space at the same time. In this extracted space, everything would be crushed into nothingness. If Chu Manha had used this ability on another Dao Integration Stage Holy Emperor, then she might have been able to succeed. However, Yin Xingwen was too powerful, and even Chu Manha's surprise attack was unable to pose any threat to him. Boom! The power of the Dao runes and laws in the void exploded, and Yin Xingwen flew backward with disheveled hair. Although he was a bit embarrassed by Chu Manha's sudden attack, he managed to block Chu Manha's heaven-splitting 9 pearls. Chu Manha's heart sank. She knew that she had underestimated this realm lord. It was impossible to sneak attack again. At this time, she could only use all her strength to fight Yin Xingwen. For a moment, the Dao runes crisscrossed, and the power of laws stimulated a new space. In this space, Chu Manha and Yin Xingwen were fighting. The other Dao Integration Stage Holy Emperors of the Great Change Realm naturally had to help Yin Xingwen kill Chu Manha. At this moment, Ningqing didn't need to speak at all. On the Grand Essence Realm side, Kong Xiushan blocked Feng Xian, Yan Binji and Wani blocked Wei Xinghao, and Shi Yiqing stepped forward to block Chu Bai. Ningqing saw that Xiao Qiandong did not move, while Ao Beijiang had no one to stop him. Instead, he rushed towards Chu Manha. Ningqing felt both anger and anxiety in his heart. The person they invited was indeed unreliable. At this critical moment, Xiao Qiandong actually didn't come. This was simply terrible. Once Ao Beijiang and Yin Xingwen killed Chu Manha, his Grand Essence realm would lose. Chu Manha was weaker than Yin Xingwen to begin with. Now that Ao Beijiang was added to the mix, what was the point of fighting? Ningqing no longer cared about anything else. Rushing out of the defensive array, he brought out the 5th reincarnation bridge and blasted it towards Ao Beijiang. He had to stop Ao Beijiang. Otherwise, it would be over if Ao Beijiang attacked Chu Manha. As long as Chu Manha got injured, the Grand Essence realm would still lose. A long orange-colored stone arch bridge stretched across the sky. The bridge's body was mottled with vicissitudes, and it looked extremely dilapidated. The black mist under the bridge formed a huge millstone. Every time the millstone moved, it felt as if countless life forces were sucked away. The surroundings looked even more deathly still. The stone millstone grinded away countless life forces, forming a tumbling deathly aura. The power of Dao charm permeating into one's soul started to spread out. Reincarnation, the body can go, but the person cannot live. The power of Dao charm gathered the moment Ao Beijiang rushed towards Chu Manha. Together with the black mist millstone, it crushed towards Ao Beijiang. The 5 scribbled words on the 5th reincarnation bridge trembled slightly at the bridgehead. This scene instantly attracted the attention of the entire battlefield. Ao Beijiang paused for a moment, but his eyes immediately showed a look of surprise and fanaticism. At this moment, killing Chu Manha was secondary. Killing Ningqing was the most important thing. Now that Ningqing rushed out of the protective array, if he didn't take action, when would he wait? No wonder Ning Cheng could walk away from the demonic creatures in the underground abyss. It turned out to be because of the 7 Bridges spirit technique. Not to mention Ao Beijiang, even Yin Xingwen, who was suppressing Chu Manha, had a fiery look in his eyes. Ning Cheng really had a lot of secrets. He even had 7 bridges. The Dao charm of the spirit technique, which blasted towards Chu Manha, instantly changed directions and blasted towards Ning Cheng's 5th reincarnation bridge. Boom! The violent power of the Dao charm laws slammed into the reincarnation bridge, causing it to tremble and make cracking sounds. Ning Cheng hadn't even received the full force of the Dao charm laws when the Dao charm laws around him collapsed. Even his spirit essence had automatically dissipated. When the violent power of the Dao charm returned, he felt as if a pair of scissors were constantly cutting his meridians and sea of consciousness. Crack. Puff. The 5th reincarnation bridge didn't suck Ao Beijiang into it and grind him into nothingness. When Ao Beijiang's power of the Dao charm laws slammed into it, the 5th reincarnation bridge and the black millstone cracked apart. Ning Cheng, who had merged with the 5th reincarnation bridge, spat out several mouthfuls of blood and flew backwards. Ao Beijiang's Dao charm locked onto all the laws in the void around Ning Cheng. While still in the void, Ning Cheng knew that things weren't looking good. He was getting further and further away from the defensive array, and Ao Beijiang was determined to kill him. Even he didn't know how to avoid Ao Beijiang's attack. Because of Ning Cheng's attack, Ao Beijiang's pressure on Chu Manha relaxed slightly. She really wanted to help Ning Cheng, but Yin Xingwen was holding her back. She couldn't leave at all. Xiao Qiandong frowned. He didn't know if he should help or not. According to their original plan, Grand Essence would quickly collapse under the suppression of the Grand Change Realm's army, and he would save Ning Cheng when he collapsed. Ning Cheng and his Grand Beginning Alliance had a pact. It would be much easier for him to save Ning Cheng than to inexplicably save him. But things were not what he had imagined at all. The Grand Essence Realm had not only temporarily blocked the attack of the Tai Dao Court Army, but even the battle between the Primordial Chaos Realm and the Dao Integration Realm was not as easily defeated as he had imagined. Ning Cheng didn't know where he had invited many unfamiliar Dao Fusion powerhouses, but these Dao Fusion powerhouses completely crushed the Grand Change Realm's Dao Fusion Holy Emperors. Now the Grand Change Realm only relied on numbers to suppress them, not strength. Boom! Just when Ao Beijiang was about to hit Ning Cheng again, another violent power of the laws swept over from the side of the void. This power directly shattered Ao Beijiang's binding power over the void and blocked Ao Beijiang's path. Then, Ao Beijiang was sent flying back. Who is it? Who wants to intervene in my Grand Change Realm's affairs? Ao Beijiang roared. Tai Su Qinglan. A lazy voice came over. Chapter 1169. Ao Beijiang's mind buzzed when he heard Tai Su Qinglan's name. He didn't even think about it, and raised his hand to slap a talisman on his forehead. Perhaps no one had heard of the name Qinglan now, but many years ago, everyone knew that there was a Qinglan in Tai Su. After transcending the second Dao integration stage, Qinglan wanted to go to the Great Change Realm, to find a way to the 3rd step. However, Great Essence Realm Lord Yin Xingwen didn't allow him to enter. At that time, Yin Xingwen and 3 Dao integration Holy Emperors had joined forces to deal with Qinglan. Although Qinglan was severely injured in the end, the Great Change Realm lost a Dao integration expert. Yin Xingwen and the other 2 were also injured. After Qinglan suffered severe injuries, he didn't return to the Grand Essence Realm. Instead, he left the 5 Grand Realms and went to a more distant interface to find opportunities for the 3rd step Dao confirming realm. In short, he disappeared. It would be strange if Ao Beijiang wasn't afraid of Qinglan's sudden appearance. He didn't think that he was a match for Grand Change Realm Lord Yin Xingwen. Furthermore, Yin Xingwen and the other Dao integration stage Holy Emperors were all being held back, so it would be strange if anyone came to help him. Moreover, so many years had passed. Who knew if Qinglan had reached the 3rd step of Dao validation? Ao Beijiang had managed to escape countless times in the void by relying on his nimble mind. He activated an escape talisman without hesitation after hearing Qinglan's name. At the same time that the escape talisman transformed into a blood-colored light when it was stuck to his glabella, 2 gray Taoist runes continued to wrap around Ao Beijiang's body, sweeping up a blood-colored light. After the splatter of blood, Ao Beijiang vanished into thin air. What a rat, running so fast. Qinglan mocked the void. From Ningcheng bringing out the 5th reincarnation bridge, to Ao Beijiang attacking Ningcheng, to Qinglan's sudden appearance and Ao Beijiang's escape, the whole process could only be described as a gap. After these things happened, Yin Xingwen immediately knew that Dao integration's strength had changed. He had fought Qinglan before, and Qinglan's strength was definitely not weaker than his. Moreover, he had no idea how much Qinglan had improved over the years. Yin Xingwen could only look down on Qinglan for sending Ao Beijiang flying with a single move. His target was Ao Beijiang. He could have held Qinglan off for a while, but the guy was so afraid of death that he'd rather be heavily injured than flee. When Xiao Qiandong saw Qinglan appear and Ao Beijiang escape, he knew that the Grand Essence Realm wouldn't lose this war. He also took out his magic treasure and attacked Chu Bai. Shi Yiqing clearly couldn't block Chu Bai. If this continued, Shi Yiqing would be the first to be killed. Yin Xingwen could only sigh helplessly when Qinglan and Xiao Qiandong appeared. If another Dao integration stage super mighty figure were to perish, then the Taisu army would have suffered a crushing defeat. Before he set out, he didn't expect the Grand Essence Realm to be this powerful. He had no idea where Ningcheng found the dozens of powerful primordial chaos sacred emperors of unknown origins. Just as Yin Xingwen was about to call them to stop, another battleship flew over from afar. The battleship stopped outside the battlefield at an extremely fast speed. Lu Dongsa appeared at the front of the battleship and shouted at Ningcheng, who was standing by the defense array. "Brother Ningcheng, I Lu Dongsa, am here to help you." As he spoke, dozens of primordial chaos experts rushed out of the battleship, took out their magic treasures, and joined the melee. Lu Dongsa's group was all primordial chaos sacred emperors. None of them were Dao integration experts, nor did they bring the Dao court army. Clearly, they didn't come on behalf of the Grand Beginning Realm. Yin Xingwen's heart sank. The Grand Essence Realm had the upper hand. The Grand Essence Realm's Dao court army was far more numerous than the Grand Essence Realm's. However, there was another more important reason. The Grand Essence Realm's Dao integration sacred emperors had the upper hand, and the primordial chaos experts were suppressing the Grand Essence Realm. Now that Qinglan had come and Ao Beijiang had escaped, coupled with the help of Lu Dongsa and dozens of primordial chaos sacred emperors, the difference in strength was immediately revealed. It wasn't too obvious now. Once Qinglan stopped one of the Dao integration sacred emperors, the Grand Essence Realm's Dao integration experts would deal with the primordial chaos sacred emperors. Dao Lord Ning, everyone stop. Since Daoist Qinglan is here, let's sit down and negotiate, Yin Xingwen said decisively. Ningcheng ignored Yin Xingwen's words and said loudly, "Thank you, Brother Lu, for coming all the way here to help." After saying that, his tone became even more intense. The Grand Essence Realm's Dao court army is shameless. They want to attack our land, kill our cultivators, and rob our resources. In order to protect us, Senior Qinglan, who lives in seclusion in the Grand Essence Realm, has also come. Tai Shi and Tai Chu have both come to help. Now it's finally our turn to attack. Daoist Black and White, follow me. Sha Su, mobilize the 10th Dao Court Army and lead the Grand Essence Realm's Dao Court Army to attack and destroy the Grand Essence Realm's invading trash. Destroy the Grand Essence Realm's trash. Ningcheng's words stirred up nearly 20 million Grand Essence Dao Court Army to counterattack. Under the guidance of Sha Su's army's array flags, the Grand Essence Dao Court Army, which originally relied on array formations to resist, suddenly scattered. The Grand Essence Dao Court Army was also led by a primordial essence Holy Emperor. Once the Grand Essence Dao Court Army fell into chaos, the primordial essence Holy Emperor of the Grand Essence Dao Court knew that something was wrong and wanted to change the array. However, the Grand Essence Dao Court Army, Ningcheng and Black and White Beard, were the two experts presiding over the array formation shift. Moreover, there were more than 10 million Grand Essence Dao Court Army, led by more than 1 million array formation masters. The Grand Essence Dao Court Army, on the other hand, was a mix of people from several major Dao courts. Previously, they used their strength to suppress the Grand Essence realm, making it impossible for the Grand Essence realm to change the array formation. Now that the Primordial Essence Holy Emperor and Dao Unification Holy Emperor couldn't gain the upper hand, the Grand Essence realm was about to turn from defense to offense. Even though they knew, the Grand Essence Holy Emperor of the Grand Essence realm couldn't respond in the same short period of time. Sure enough, the chaotic array formation of the Grand Essence Dao Court Army was reorganized in a short time. The Grand Essence Dao Court Army followed Sha Su's array formation masters out of the defense array, and immediately began to interweave. As the person in charge of this battle, Yin Xingwen naturally saw the changes in the Grand Essence Dao Court Army and the Grand Essence Dao Court Army. Although Chu Manhe wasn't as good as him, she wasn't weak either. The more anxious he was, the easier it was for Chu Manhe. Just as Chu Manhe was thinking about how to injure Yin Xingwen, a voice came over. "Leave Yin to me. You deal with the rest." Along with the voice came two completely different Dao runes. Chu Manhe didn't care about these two Dao runes. She knew that the person who came was Qinglan. She had also seen the process of Qinglan pushing Ao Beijiang away. This person's strength might be above hers. Therefore, when Qinglan came over, she immediately dodged and pounced on Wei Xinghao. Yan Binji and Wani were half-step Dao integration experts and were veteran experts. However, the two of them still struggled to deal with Wei Xinghao. Yan Binji was even seriously injured. Chu Manhe was already far stronger than Wei Xinghao. Now that she joined the battle, the pressure on Wei Xinghao suddenly increased. The Jade Clear Dao Court's Dao Lord Yi Qianhua, who was suppressed by Perpetual Moon Sex Wu Lin, felt extremely anxious when the Grand Essence Dao Court switched from defense to offense. Now that he saw the Jade Clear Dao Court's Dao Integration Guardian Wei Xinghao in danger, he immediately thought of retreating. Originally, the Jade Clear Dao Court had sent out their army because the Grand Essence realm was bound to lose. Now it seemed that the Grand Essence realm was getting stronger and stronger. If the Tai Dao Court army continued to fight, the consequences would be really unpredictable. If they didn't retreat at this time, the Jade Clear Dao Court might really suffer heavy losses. It wasn't worth it to stay here for a little bit of primal chaos chi. Jade Clear Dao Court army, retreat immediately. Wei Xingwading Guardian army, retreat. Yi Qianhua was extremely decisive. After deciding to retreat, he immediately issued a retreat order. The Taishan Dao Court had originally sent 1,000,000 Dao Court army symbolically. In their opinion, it would be too easy for the Grand Change realm to crush the Grand Essence realm. The Taishan Dao Court's Dao Lord Jie Xinshui originally didn't intend to send an army. Now that he had sent an army, it was just for show. That was why they were only doing some symbolic attacks from the corners. Now that the Grand Essence realm was getting stronger and stronger, the Jade Clear Dao Court's main force had already retreated. If the Taishan Dao Court stayed here, they would be courting death. Almost at the same time that Yi Qianhua issued the retreat order, the Taishan Dao Court's army also issued the retreat order. Once tens of millions of people retreated, the whole scene became even more chaotic. Ning Cheng and the black and white beard man secretly sighed in pity. Yi Qianhua was too decisive and retreated too quickly. Their trap and kill array couldn't even move in time. Lei Shiran of the Cloudlight Dao Court was greedy. Although he felt that the Grand Essence realm was moving the trap and kill array, he still wanted to use the gap in the Grand Essence realm to rush out of the defense array to defeat the Grand Essence realm army in one go. Lei Shiran's idea wasn't wrong. If there was no array Dao expert like the black and white beard man to guide them, and if the Jade Clear Dao Court's tens of millions of Dao Court army hadn't suddenly retreated, it might really be possible. Now that the Jade Clear Dao Court's Dao Court army had suddenly retreated, the Taishan Dao Court's Dao Court army had also suddenly retreated, which suddenly caught him off guard. Before Lei Shiran could issue the retreat order, Chu Bai in the distance let out a shrill cry. Then, thousands of Dao runes exploded in the void, and countless law auras collapsed. Under the pressure of the majestic aura, it was like a bucket of water suddenly dispersing, dissipating rapidly. These dissipated Dao runes and law auras directly tore the Dao Court army in front of them into pieces, and finally blasted on the Grand Essence Realm's Boundary Protection Grand Array, causing the Grand Essence Realm's Boundary Protection Grand Array to shake again and again. Chu Bai had died. Lei Xiran's heart sank, and a chill surged in his heart. A Dao Integration Divine Emperor had fallen in the middle of a battle with the Dao Court army, without even a chance to escape. This was too shocking. At this moment he didn't hesitate at all, and issued the retreat order without hesitation. The moment Chu Bai died, the entire Dao Court army of the Luiying Dao Court descended into chaos. More than half of the Grand Essence Dao Court's confinement killing array had been shifted, and countless Dao Court army of the Luiying Dao Court became powerless under the siege of the Grand Essence Dao Court army. Yi Qianhua, Wei Xinghao, and the others, who had retreated to the distance, also sighed in their hearts. From today onwards, the Luiying Dao Court was completely finished. Wei Xinghao also knew that the reason why Chu Bai died was because of him. He immediately fled, but Chu Manha didn't chase after him. Instead she attacked Chu Bai. Chu Bai's strength was the weakest. And now that 3 Dao Integration Divine Emperors attacked him at the same time, it would be strange if he didn't die. On the other side, Feng Xian's soul had dissipated, and Chu Bai had died. When he used the escape talisman to escape, he began to swear that he would never come to the Grand Essence Realm again in this life. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.